All right, welcome everyone to another edition of On the Record with your host, Tone Vays. I am joined today by two guys I've known for a while, but have never been on my channel. We'll introduce them in a second. And our topic for today is the YouTube bans that took place over the holiday season. So without further ado, let me welcome my two guests. Say hi, guys. We have Tai Zen and we have Tio, known as Arcane Bear. How are you? How are you guys? Everyone's coming from different time zones, so I can't even say morning or evening.
Hey, what's up, Tone? Thanks for having me on the show, man. And good to see you also, Arcane Bear.
Yeah, Tone, thank you, everyone. It's good to be here. Tai, pleasure to see you as well. Excited to chat about this very interesting instance that YouTube had thrown down and was very noticeable across the scene in the blockchain space.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm broadcasting from Ho Chi Minh City in South Vietnam. Well, where are you at, Tone?
I like, for anonymity reasons at this point. I'm no longer trying to disclose that. I've gotten I've gotten into some trouble in people knowing too much information. This is the problem with being too honest. So I'm gonna try and keep my somewhat locations, unless I'm like publicly available for dinners and stuff and doing workshops. I'm gonna try to bring a little privacy back into my life. At this point, especially if Bitcoin is about to start going up in price for another bull run, it's more important than ever. And Tio, I don't know if you want to say where you're at.
Yeah, I'm actually currently situated in Bali. I have a beautiful photo that I took in this area that I'm living in right now. I love Indonesia. The culture here is such a beautiful place. So I'm excited to be surrounded by green and happy people.
Yeah. But my background is Vegas. That's where Unconfiscatable conference is going to be. If you guys can't make it, you will always be welcome. All right, let's do some intros. I'm gonna go straight to screen share. Go ahead and kick us off, Tai. You and I have met on several occasions, but you are new to my audience. And go ahead, that's your Twitter behind me. You also have a website. Give us a little background on yourself. We have a lot to cover, trying to keep it short, but also tell us how you got into crypto.
I got into crypto in 2012 when I started working as an energy at an energy brokerage firm that was selling commercial electricity. I had a trading background in trading in stocks, futures, forex at that time. And when you sell commercial electricity, it's important to focus on the natural gas market, because most of the electricity in America is created based on natural gas. It's created from natural gas. So when you're helping commercial businesses buy their electricity cheap, it's important to understand the technical analysis of natural gas. So that's how I worked there. But the owners of that energy brokerage firm was not focused on selling electricity. What they were focused on was mining these Bitcoins. That was in 2012. And these guys kept joking around and kept making fun of me because I was Asian. They kept asking me if I knew any Chinese that would sell these ASICs chips so that they can mine more Bitcoins. And I kept calling them stupid and, telling the CEO and the founders of the energy brokerage firm that they were crazy. They were making really good money from the selling commercial electricity. I mean, these guys were very wealthy. And instead of worrying about their electricity business, they were more focused on mining these Bitcoins in 2012. And I knew some Chinese friends, so I made some contacts for them. And I kept making fun of them that they were playing with monopoly money, and they kept calling me stupid. And I remember one day, one of the owners, he threw some gold coins on the table, and he said, if somebody's willing to give me some gold coins, some American Eagle gold coins for my Bitcoins, it's real money to me, regardless of what your stupid ass is saying. And he said to go read the Bitcoin white paper and don't be sitting there talking like an idiot. So at that time, I was not very, I'm not one of those Asians that's good in math and science. So I got the Bitcoin white paper, read it. I understood the summary, and I said, hey man, as a trader, I said, hey man, this is a good clearing and settlement system. And this would really help a lot of people in the financial markets if this was true. but I couldn't confirm it. So I sent it to my business partner, leonfu.com. And he's a real Asian. He's a software engineer. He's like one of the top software engineers at Dell Computers. And he read it and went out and bought a bunch of Bitcoins right away, you know. And when I called him back, and instead of telling me the reasons why Bitcoin was a scam so I can go tell the owners of the brokerage firm, he told me to go out and buy some Bitcoins. So, you know, I trusted him because he knew software and he knew math much better than a real Asian, right? So I went out and bought a bunch of Bitcoins at that time, you know, and I really didn't even know how. And I was really scared because at that time it was, you know, it was really hard to buy it, you know. So we ended up getting some from Charlie Shrem. At that time, he had an exchange called BitInstant. So that's where our team's first Bitcoins came from, was Charlie Shrem, you know. And at that time, you know, I started diving really deep. I mean, I was like reading stuff and listening to everything online and try to search for things about Bitcoin. And it was really, really hard to find anything about trading and investing in Bitcoin. So since I had a background in trading and investing in stocks and Forex and futures, and I saw a bunch of kids on TradingView just saying a bunch of stupid nonsense about trading, which I knew would get them slaughtered. So I started, you know, pitching in and sharing with them what I knew about the stock market and everything and how to do technical analysis and everything. And one thing led to another, and I saw that there was a lot of just getting the same questions over and over. So I started a YouTube channel in 2013 to just educate the public about Bitcoin and about trading and investing in Bitcoin. Back then, I only talked about Bitcoin because that was the only coin that was around. And then later on, when more altcoins came on the market, that's when I started trading those as well. And we've been broadcasting ever since.
Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty cool story. Well, the main purpose of this video is going to be about, you know, YouTube cracking down on content. Let's love the stereotypes; they're hilarious. Let's not get this video banned, as we're going to talk about later. Yeah, no, Tai, you've been in this space for a while. You have one of the first YouTube channels that talked about trading in the crypto space. So yeah, you've contributed quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, we were actually the most popular. You know, I will say that we were the most popular cryptocurrency trading and investing channel up until the middle of 2017. You know, and the market was going like crazy. And you know, we make our money from trading and investing in crypto. So we pretty much just let go of the channel and we're just busy trading and everything. And I think that's when everybody else came online and pretty much took over that #1 spot. So. But you know, we were the #1 channel in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency trading and investing from like 2013 to like the middle of 2017. You know.
Yeah, and let me go back to screen share for 1 second. Then we'll go over to Arcane Bear. And yeah, here's your channel. I forgot to put a link to that, but it's cryptocurrency market. And I'm gonna play this real quick. You remember this video?
Yeah, I remember. I remember making that video. I remember making that video. The reason why was because everyone was talking about Bitcoin maximalists and they were pointing out to fake Bitcoin maximalists. And I had known about you, you know, see that video was made in August 2016, but I knew about you broadcasting on the World Crypto Network and talking about Bitcoin back in 2015. And I was like, man, these guys, they're following. If you're gonna follow a real Bitcoin maximalist, why don't you follow a real one and not these fake asses?
Yeah,
and that's why.
Let me play just like 15 seconds from this clip. The whole video is only 4 minutes long. And this is from before I started my own YouTube channel. I started my YouTube channel around October of 2016. So this is prior to my own YouTube channel. But check out Tai from his car.
That's what Bitcoin maximalist is. Now, the most famous and the most popular, or at least I think that the most popular Bitcoin maximalist is a guy in New York called Tone Vays. He's on the Bitcoin. He's always broadcasting from the World Bitcoin Network with Mark Hunt and from Mad Bitcoin, and so they're always doing a broadcast.
That was great, man. So it's Thomas Hunt, not Mark Hunt, and it's the World Crypto Network, not the World Bitcoin Network, and it's Tone Vays, not Tone Vay, but we get the point.
Yeah.
Thank God for YouTube keeping the history of all of our channels still.
Yeah, that is true. All right, I thought that was great, man. I actually tweeted out this video back in the day. It was It was awesome. Thanks for that. All right. All right, Tio, Arcane Bear, tell us a little bit about you. Again, your first time on the channel, so these intros will last a little bit longer before we dive in to the topic of the day. Go for it.
Well, I just want to say thank you for organizing this. I think it's important that we build these collaborative efforts to try to figure out what's going on in the space together. My entry into Bitcoin was a bit more holistic and abstract than Tai's. It was not as clean and cut. The first Bitcoins we were buying were around $90. And I had no idea what they were at all. I just knew that we got 50% off the servers that we were paying for in bulk if we used Bitcoin. So when I first started my business, we were doing like Facebook advertisements, PPC, like pay-per-view, pay-per-click advertisements, and we got all these great discounts. So out of, as a Canadian, Quadriga, the exchange, which actually went down not too long ago because of the supposed death of the CEO of that company, that was the only place we could get it in Canada. And it was a very abstract process, there's no KYC. You would use basically money transfers, or you could actually send cash in an envelope to an address at that time. It was a very strange thing. So we started buying our first few at that time. And then what really kind of kicked me off into understanding the importance of it was I bought a few and I'd kind of forgotten about it. And it was around 2010 or 11, just after the Cyprus banking episode, and Bitcoin went from I
gotta correct you here, because I've been doing price analysis for too long now.
What year was that?
The Cyprus incident took place in very early April of 2013.
Oh, 2013. Okay, so that's when it jumped back up into my viewpoint. I had been trading a little bit in out of the money options and puts and calls in the market. And then when I saw Bitcoin flash back up in front of my eyes, and went to around $1,000 at that point, I made my very first all-time high purchase. And I purchased a few more, and over that time, I watched it come tumbling back down. And that's when I started to really research into trading and investing and understanding the difference between these ideas. You know, I built a small portfolio at that time of like CBD stocks out of Canada. I was just interested in anything that kind of piqued my curiosity. I've always liked plants and anything that kind of pushes the boundaries. So the next big kicker for Bitcoin was I was actually living in Guatemala at the time. I seemed to like these abstract countries. And one of the things I found out was I would walk down the street and I ended up finding these like Bitcoin postcards that had like this sacred flower of life, which is a pretty hippie symbol where you can get all the geometric and platonic solids out of it. And then that's when it clicked conceptually to me how valuable decentralized, well, maybe decentralized isn't the right word, but almost the people's choice money, that we had the opportunity to grow the network effect and build this cross-border relationship based off of our input into the system itself. So that's when I started really studying, you know, what's blockchain, what the hell have I been buying? Like I didn't really know. I just saw what do you call it? A potential in an asset that I didn't really understand. Even the CBD stocks, I looked at a company and said, oh, this looks good. I'll put some money here. You know, my general investment philosophy is just keep investing, whether it's at a high or a low, doesn't really matter. Just keep investing. But that's when I learned how to trade. And then I started my YouTube channel in 2017. And if you look there, it varies wildly. Like I'm talking about pineapples and ayahuasca one day and then Bitcoin the next. So it's a very all over the place channel. You know, we have PhDs from physics, we've had Stanford biology PhDs come and talk about their craft. So my goal with Arcane Bear was actually just to, for any broader sense of the term, just communicate value to what I was interested in. And that's still today what we do. You know, we just try to share what I try to share what I find interesting that I think other people might find valuable. And Bitcoin was definitely one of those things I think it was in March 2017 when I started the channel. If you clicked about there, I'd probably say it. But the point of this is that driver to just share what I had learned through my life was the only reason I started the channel. And it's been this wonderful ride to be able to meet the crypto community. Tone, I've met you now we've met in Colombia, we've met in Singapore, you know, to have friends that are also on this kind of abstract path. So I'm really, really excited to be able to hang out with you guys tonight and go over some of the interesting stuff we found, you know, on the channel. It's not just always Bitcoin. Sometimes we'll go to an orphanage, we'll buy all the kids food, or it's really all over the place. Just anything that I find useful is what I'm sharing on my channel. So it's kind of like a free-for-all, I guess. That's why the name Arcane Bear is there. People was like, why'd you pick Arcane Bear? I'm like, well, that's a great question. Oh, you're muted, Tone.
Yeah, was giving me was anyway messing around with me and unmuting. Yeah, so Theo, I like calling it politically neutral money.
Yeah.
The term you were searching for. And I do want to address a comment in the live chat. I don't consider Tai Zen a shitcoiner. He trades, right? He'll trade anything. Like it's like considering someone that trades penny stocks, that companies that may or may not be good. Like he's trading shitcoins to make more Bitcoin. Tai understands the value proposition of shitcoins very well.
Hey, I was trading. I've been trading since 2000 in March of 2008. You know, I was trading all kinds of currencies, stocks, Forex, futures, oil, gold. So whatever's tradable, I'll trade it. So I have no problem trading anything.
Yeah, and I have no problem with people that do that. My problem is with people that, you know, have Ripple logos in their Twitter handles. That's really the problem.
No, I will not be doing that anytime soon. So.
All right, let's dive in to the topic of the day. I believe I'm still screen sharing, and this all started with the big crackdown by YouTube that took place at the end of December. And we can't even say that it was one specific thing. It was 3 or 4 things all combined into one. Now, YouTube has admitted they've made some mistakes in doing so, but we're going to dive a little bit deeper and hopefully help other content creators in, you know, navigating some of this stuff. So here are YouTube's terms of service, and all the links I'm posting here are in the video description. So YouTube has a general, you know, terms of service. They could be more descriptive. Let me just give you guys a summary of what we're going to talk about here. So to me, after it was all said and done, after, you know, going into the New Year's, once the bans started to happen, you know, you step back and you take a look at what's going on in the space, and it came down to enforcement of at least 3 things that we know of all at once. The COPPA laws and regulations that YouTube now has to get very strict on, and we'll talk about why. And that has to do with child content, and the definition of a child is anyone either under 13 or 13 and under. That distinction, I don't think it's really all that relevant, but someone around 13 and under. So they're cracking down on that part. They're also cracking down on harmful and dangerous content, which they haven't fully defined. We're going to talk about that. And the third part has to do with content cop, and this has to do with them getting a little bit more strict and I guess more politically correct on criticizing and opinions on YouTube. We're also going to talk about some of the FTC regulation that has always been in place, but perhaps a lot of people aren't following it. Did I miss anything for our agenda for the day, guys?
No, I mean, I think just looking at alternatives, providing even like a platform like this where we can communicate, you know, Tai basically made a tweet during all this. We invited all the other crypto content creators to come in and have these discussions, because these are really vague laws sometimes. Like if you look at this terms of service and you scroll down a little bit, Tone, there's a part where it talks about account terminations. And in there specifically, it says we are able to and willing to just terminate any account that's not commercially viable. And if you look at some of the fiscal reports for Google, Alphabet, and YouTube itself, it's not a super profitable platform for them. One of the big problems here is hosting such long content. You'll find someone maybe that's got 400 subscribers and has 500 videos that are all 2 hours long. They're not making any money off of this content. So they've started to put out these notices that says basically we will remove you if you are not deemed commercially viable anymore, because they're getting into a very sticky situation because of the FTC laws now and because of all the new content that's consistently being uploaded on a daily basis. So the fact that something happened was almost inevitable. They just had such an open reign platform for so long. And in early 2015, a lot of the algorithms were focusing on feeding content that may have been, considered harmful or dangerous. I mean, Alex Jones was really the first that they took off I think it was in 2018, when they started to try to remove what was considered like abstractions in content. And that was a big blow to freedom of speech.
We're now jumping slightly across topics. Alex Jones certainly wasn't removed because he's not commercially viable. He is very commercially viable, right? Like a lot of people watch his channel. I was going to cover this topic last, but this is going to be the one. Let's cover it first. I mean, it doesn't matter. We don't have to stick to an actual agenda here. And this is another one of those little terms of service that people started to dig into. There is a video on this topic. You can find it in the video description. And basically, it has to do with this term of service about terminating content that is not commercially viable. Now, I do see it as two ways, right? Like a lot of people, look, it's pretty obvious that like people don't understand how difficult it is to store an infinite amount of data. You can't. This is a problem in the blockchain world as well. This is why blockchains can't really scale. This is why the Ethereum, you can't download an Ethereum node, not to bring this discussion back to the blockchain space. Storing a limited amount of content is very expensive and very difficult, and YouTube is doing that in some of the most data-heavy elements of content, which is video. And now most people are going into 4K video, right? I mean, the whole show Silicon Valley is all about trying to do compression and making these files smaller. So it almost makes sense for YouTube to have that in their terms of service, because what do you do? Like, for example, you have a YouTube channel, and we kind of almost have this in our space, right? The Hyperwave channel, I don't know if you guys have watched it, with Leah and Tyler Jenks. They've been on my channel a lot. Tyler Jenks passed away about 6 months ago. They have about 300 videos on their YouTube channel. Now, these videos are still very, very valuable, and they're going to be valuable into the future. But that channel will never stream another video because the owner of that channel has passed away. What if this channel had, 1,000 videos? And what if these videos were basically no one is watching them anymore at all? Like, at which point does YouTube have the right to say, you know what, we don't want to store this data anymore. We don't want to be responsible for this data. No one is watching it again. The channel has not published anything for 10 years. So I understand why it's in their terms of service. The question is, at which point do they abuse it and say, we think that you are not important, and therefore we're going to close your channel, even though you are a living person and you still publish videos once a month or so, but no one's watching them. So this is the line that YouTube has to kind of navigate. What are your opinions on this?
I guess I'll jump in first, since I had introduced myself first earlier. I did not realize I've been broadcasting on YouTube for over probably over a decade now. So crypto was not the first thing that I started talking about. I have a Vietnamese channel that's got twice as many subscribers. It's a personal development channel in Vietnamese. So I've been broadcasting on that long before I broadcasted about crypto. And one thing that I've learned recently in the last year or two, when I started building some trading software to help us with our trading, is how much it costs to rent the servers from Amazon or from Vulture or from any of those places
to
host. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. Like we you know, like we need to come out with the Taifu indexes. It's a cryptocurrency index that we are creating for ourselves and for our viewers and for our clients. And man, the cost to host those things are not cheap, man. And just the data, just the data, just to download the price data of all the coins, right, and store it so that the software can the portfolio management software that we're creating so it can ping that database and pull the price data. That alone, man, just storing that is like the gigabytes of data just to get like the 5-minute data, the 20-minute data, you know, the hourly data, the 3-hour, 4-hour, 5-hour data for just the price of one coin. It's just a tremendous amount of data. And so we have to even go as far as just releasing just like the daily data first. And then as we get on board more users and figure out the infrastructure, then we can scale it up to having more, you know, finer resolution data. But it really shocked me how much the servers cost and the how much space all this data takes up. And I've been uploading video to my channel in 4K since I discovered 4K, the Panasonic GH5 camera. Just for the hell of it, I've been, you know, I figured if people want to watch at home on the large 4K screen, it's available. And oh my God, that takes up. I have like a backup at home of all my videos in case I get shut down by YouTube or Twitter or just anyone like that. So I have a backup copy of all my videos, and I have a 32 terabyte. What do you call that?
External hard drive.
Yeah, external. No, server.
Oh, yeah, server. Okay. See, I'm in the process of getting a server because I have so many websites, right? Vays.com, Unconfiscatable.com, understanding Bitcoin conference, the financial summits. We have a database of, you know, customers that do purchase products that register for these things. We want to run our own node to process, like, you know, the Bitcoin payments. And your own server, it's gonna run. It's about to. We're about to launch it now. It's $200 to $250 a month. That's the cost. But like people are like, oh my God, Tone, why are you charging like $100 for this? It should be free for us. Do you guys realize that, like, for me to even have these websites, it's one thing you go into Squarespace and making a little blog, or you going on Medium and making a blog. If you're actually going to run some kind of a business, these are like real costs, not to mention a developer to protect all that data properly. Yeah. Human capital is very expensive.
Yeah. Well, when one of your viewers just commented, you know, like, what the F, you know, hosting is extremely cheap. Yes, hosting is cheap if you only have like 10 or 20 people or 100 people visit your website. You know, when you're having thousands, hundreds and thousands of people visiting your website, you know, every day, every week, every month, it becomes very costly, especially for just somebody that just, you know, like we're you know, when we all first started, we just made some YouTube videos to help other people understand the crypto scene, the Bitcoin scene. You know, we didn't expect to run servers and do all this other stuff just to, you know, share our knowledge with someone. And the more that we grow, I'm realizing that the cost to scale up and have more people also grows. You know, so I'm not surprised what you guys are saying, that if they, you know, like Tyler Jenks, if his channel has all those videos on there, but it's not producing new content to attract new users and new viewers and stuff, right? Then that's going to be a problem. And if, you know, we can say what we want to say about YouTube, but at the end of the day, they are a business, and their responsibility is to their shareholders and the people that own YouTube. You know, it's not to us first, it's to them first. And to make sure.
Even even something simple, like people don't realize, like every click gets counted. So putting this is on my website on tonevays.com, putting a clickable link to the last podcast I did on my YouTube. This was not simple because I do have, you know, 10,000 views plus on my YouTube. So putting it on my website was actually problematic to play these videos because it was too popular. It was too many clicks. You have to upgrade your hosting services, and that's why you have to pay for your own server. Even something as simple as you go to an event site And this is something I learned recently. Like, people don't understand this stuff until you actually do it. On the Unconfiscatable site, we have, when it loads, we have a map. There is a map of where the event is at the bottom, just embedding a Google map, right? Again, you think this is so simple right here. Here's a Google map. Not a big deal. You can click on this Google map. Guess what? I am supposed to be paying Google for the ability to click on this map and have it there. They're taking a cut. Now, they understand the fact that, hey, I'm not using this map for commercial purposes, but I have a limited number of clicks to this map. Everybody does this. Google makes a lot of money from Uber because they're using their maps inside their system. It's still a commercial use. Now, this is not really viable commercially. How many people are going to click this thing? But if tens of thousands of people start clicking this map, I'm going to get a bill from Google for using their maps for commercial purposes. So like, a lot of these things add up. We are getting a little off the topic here, but people need to know this stuff, that it's not easy what we do as, providing content.
Yeah, I feel one of the main reasons why Google and YouTube haven't seen any competitors, aside from the network effect of already being able to reach so many people, is just the sheer cost of promoting that content and storing it. Twitch and Vimeo are constantly deleting accounts because of this exact reason. The server space is extremely expensive. Google was able to offset it because when they came to the table and bought YouTube, they already owned so much in data storage. It was something that they were specialized in. I'm sure they use a lot of Amazon stuff nowadays, but this is a very costly game for them to run. So it leads us, I guess, into some of our next topics is, why did they start to make this crackdown on content creators? Aside from just being commercially viable, they were getting hit with fines at hundreds of millions of dollars. And this really cuts into the profitability of a platform that wasn't all that profitable for them from the get-go.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to to the one that's probably getting the most attention on the YouTube side. Let me go back to screen share here. So this was our little discussion on one of the topics, being the whole YouTube's ability to terminate accounts. I don't think it was put in with malicious intent. Now, most laws don't go in, or most terms of service things don't go in with malicious intent. But over time, how are these terms of service or laws going to be abused? We don't know. We can only wait for specific cases. So this is the one that got the most attention. YouTube's new kids content system has creators scrambling. And this is what is known as the COPPA Laws, the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, and basically which forbids collecting data from children under the age of 13 without explicit consent from their parents. Now, this sounds somewhat simple, but in reality, it's kind of hard to implement. Do we want to, there is a video here. Maybe I can play a little bit of this video. Nope, not that one. That one actually explains it. So I believe it's this one from FTC about this. Let me see if I can make this loud and just have a listen, and then we'll talk about what the hell is actually going on here.
Expression about shooting fish in a barrel. And YouTube is the barrel, and the content creators are the fish. And so it's a place where this content is centralized, and essentially it's easy for us to find. This action is.
So that is not a very nice thing to say, right? Basically, it's almost like the FTC is coming out. We need money. We want to fine YouTube for everything and anything. And we can, because it's a centralized point that we go to and fine. At the end of the video, we can talk about the potential decentralized competitors, which I personally don't believe exist, but that is different. So basically, YouTube, where is that? So YouTube got fined a ridiculous amount of money. I'm looking for an article on that. I thought you guys sent it to me.
If you scroll down a little bit, it talks about it in this article too.
It is in this article. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought I saw like a chart of how much YouTube got fined. It was like what, $170 million, or it just
it's actually on one of those FTC reports as well.
Oh, that's where I saw it. I saw it on here. There it is. That's what I was looking for. It was this. FTC and New York Attorney General versus Google and YouTube, $170 million. That's basically, how do I go get out of this? I guess I have to hit the back button. So that's basically how much YouTube had to pay the FTC. So now they're saying, screw this. We're going to go ahead and start to crack down on some of this stuff. That's why every content creator now has this button. Is this content advertising, or is this content geared towards children ages 13 and under? And this is where it gets interesting. So if you want to play it, if you want to play it totally safe, you would click that button and say, yes, this content is also for children. Now you have to watch what you say, but now you get completely demonetized and you don't get promoted. Now, if you say that this is not for children, which all of us put, like every single adult that's making content for adults is not going to put this is also for children. We're going to put it's for adults. But if YouTube looks at that video, or they have a bot looking at that video and says, well, wait a minute, your 12-year-old son is in this video with you as you guys, go around national parks, looking at scenery. And because your, 12-year-old is in this video with you, we could see this as advertising to children to also watch it because they can relate to your 12-year-old son. And now you could get in serious trouble with YouTube, get your channel banned because they disagree with you whether your content is or isn't geared to children. And that's just one of the examples that are causing a little bit of problems here. Tio, you probably looked at this a lot. And there is another video right here. It's in the video description. It's a lawyer talking about the COPPA laws and how they could potentially affect your channel. Go ahead and throw your thoughts in here.
So there's one of the things that really stood out to me when everyone started to get these bans, and what was confusing is that if you dig into the FTC laws a little bit on those pages that we're looking at, one of the specific quotes says, videos or content that includes characters, celebrities, or toys that appeal to children, animated characters or cartoon figures. And it really got me thinking, this is such vague terming, because this is not, the COPPA law was not written by a lawyer. It was written by people that don't understand how to write laws. So there's a lot of vagueness in what they're writing. And when you say things like that, I started to think, I'm like, well, how many people are using emojis? Or if you look at Crown's Crypto Cave, which is almost all these cartoon looking characters, this could be viewed as content that might actually draw children in to click on it. So even if you didn't create content designated for children, you might end up having them fall there because of the real vague abstractions in what it looks like. These are some.
Now that you mentioned it, I want to jump over to the YouTube channel. I know it's Ty's favorite, and that's the Magical Crypto Friends. He's got he's got a whole video about them, and their whole thing is like animation. I mean, this is the gray area, right? Like their show is obviously not for children, but their whole intro is animation, like exactly what you talk about.
Yeah, and it set us all up for a really hard. We've got a hard line discussion over the next few years coming. Everyone talks about how Google is censoring people, but this is a really great platform. I've found so much valuable content over the years here. So it really felt like an attack to see everyone. Ivan on Tech, Vox Mining, Crypto Lark, Omar Bomb, all the YouTube channels were getting hit. And then when I stepped back,
Crypto Lark, his logo could be perceived as advertising to children.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where it gets so vague, is that I guess, when I started to do more research and realize that this is not a conspiracy against just YouTube aiming at Bitcoin content creators. This is across the board. I saw videos that just had a video of a cat meowing getting banned and getting content striked for harmful or dangerous
No,
content.
that's different. That's a completely different topic. And this is the complication here, right? That had nothing to do with COPPA laws. That's we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Let's stick to the COPPA stuff.
Yeah, no, it's just the vagueness. And so I guess when these COPPA laws were released on December 11th, they started to roll out a new algorithm that allowed for automatic tagging of some of these harmful or abusive potential videos, because it seemed to be a rollout of the COPPA as well as some of the new FTC regulations, because the YouTube and Google had realized, well, if we're getting fined a massive amount of money, we should clean up. They specifically said we're not doing this because of COPPA, but they're probably doing it because they got fined an enormous amount of money.
Yeah, Tai, your thoughts on this? Oh, by the way, if you do want to hear Tai's thoughts on the magical crypto friends, recent developments in the crypto space, this video is in the video description, and it's titled Crypto Investing. It's Crypto Investing 152. Avoid pieces of shit, influencers, and hypocrites. And this is gonna actually, the reason why this video is here is because we're gonna talk about content cops and, you know, being overly critical of other YouTubers, which or other people in general, which I am guilty of as well. And we'll see if that gets anybody banned. But Tai, your thoughts on COPPA?
Yes, they do need to. I have 3 kids and a 4th one on the way, coming in April. And so I do understand what YouTube is doing to try to protect the kids and stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that people are doing on YouTube to get kids addicted to the YouTube. Like, you know, I got to fight with my kids constantly to get away from the tablet and the computer to watch all the kids' videos on YouTube, you know? And so I can understand why YouTube would do that. And if they're getting in trouble for it, you know, at the end of the day, man, you know, like sometimes people forget that YouTube is a business. They're in the business of making money for their investors and shareholders. And if there's things that is going on their platform that affects their business or affects their profits, they have to deal with that. You know, and as much as, you know, we like to, you know, sometimes we get so used to using it for free, which really it's not free, because they're getting we're paying our personal data. We're giving up our personal data to YouTube in order to use it for free. But, you know, we're so used to using this platform for quote unquote free that we forget that they are a business. You know, so if we go into a mom and pop's coffee shop or a restaurant or a mechanic shop, and we do things that the owner of that business does not like, and they decide to change the rules or kick us out or for whatever reason, they have every right to do that. So the only thing I would say is that I wish that they would make it very clear and at least, you know, warn people, you know, because there are a segment of YouTubers that do not care about following the laws. And there are a segment like ourselves that do want to follow the laws and the procedures and whatever guidelines that they put out. I just wish that would be a little bit more clear, you know. So what I think is going to happen is that most of the YouTubers, just for fear of getting their channel shut down, they're just going to market that it's for 18 and older only, for adults only. Like I did on our channel. I went through all my channels and just marked it for adults only.
Yeah, there was that's another interesting aspect, because when all 3 of us and more in a Telegram group were discussing all of this, well, that was the thing, right? Okay, so obviously our content is not geared to children 13 and under, and so we're not gonna click that one. We're gonna go regular, but there's also an option to say, hey, my content is for 18 and up. But, you know, there is, if you are monetizing your channel, and then you set it for 18 and up, you now get demonetized. You are now not going to get promoted by YouTube in the same exact way. And while there seems to be, at least, it's not very clear explanations as to what content is, you know, should be labeled as 13 and under, and it's somewhat obvious what content should be 18 and up. It is not exactly clear what happens in that gray zone of 13 to 18. And to be honest, there's a huge difference between, you know, a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old, right? Like So what happens there? What happens in that gray zone, and what regulation is coming in the near future for that specific target of viewers?
Yeah, I haven't seen any clear indication on the exact way they're going to change for age group dependent stuff, but it's definitely going to make a huge dent in YouTube. I mean, if I remember just a few months ago, one of their biggest content creators was an 8-year-old kid who reviews toys. And they'll be demonetized. And this is one of the biggest channels on YouTube. You know, PewDiePie itself too is often, you know, he always constantly makes fun of how his viewers are 9 years old, although I'm sure they're not 9 anymore, but they were. You know, YouTube actually prided itself on that to some degree. If you look at that other FTC page we were just on and you scroll down, one of the reasons why the FTC hit them, yeah, scroll down a little bit. This is what Google said about YouTube. The FTC had warned YouTube and Google back in 2015, that color PNG just up there a little bit. Yeah, this one. If you open that up, basically FTC gave Google a warning, and then all of a sudden Google started to come out all the time and say, we're like the best place for all the kids to hang out. This is like where all the tweens visit YouTubes and watch videos. And that's when the FTC realized that they were being cocky and then hit them with this fine. So they realized that they had been kind of, they had been trying to earn that extra content dollar value in terms of the place where they could put advertisement spends. And the other abstractions here is if your child logs in through an adult's account but has children's cookies attached to it, the FTC will still consider the account a child's account. So if you log on as a parent to use YouTube, and then your child jumps on your YouTube account and goes over to watch Netflix Kids or something like this, is all tracked in the history of the user. So they're not able to discriminate as easily. So it's some very, very vague lines. And as Tai had mentioned.
So what's the moral of the story here? If you are an adult, don't use your login credentials to put on videos for your kids?
Seems to be one of the areas of abstraction, because the FTC is tracking the cookie data. That's where the privacy data comes from too, is because if your kid is on your YouTube and then he goes to his Facebook, it still brings that data over to the next compliant person down the line, essentially like a firing pixel or whatever. So it's very vague, and this is where I agree with both. You know, I'm on the same sentiment. Is YouTube has given us no real clear lines of distinction here, and neither has the FTC, because they're not lawmakers. They're just writing general form guidelines, and that's a really hard thing. Guidelines are hard to follow and easy to break.
Yeah. All right. Anything? So this is not even close to being fully understood. Yeah. So I mean, Tai, do you have like YouTube accounts for your children? And if child content is going to be watched, you're logging into it through their accounts?
No, I don't do that. Like, I believe that it's, I'll share this with your audience. You know, I came to America as a Vietnamese refugee after the war between Vietnam and America. And when I came to America as a refugee, we got sponsored by a white family down in Montgomery, Alabama. And they were just pretty much using us as, I guess, servants, slaves, you know? And luckily we left that and went, and we had a white doctor in Olympia, Washington, and he sponsored our family and many other Southeast Asian families after the war. And this doctor was like a godsend, man. I mean, he was so instrumental to helping our refugee family and many, like hundreds of family. He would open up his clinic and do like charity work and treat all the refugees, you know, for medical treatment, like on the weekends. And then people would come in, volunteer and help. He's just really great doctor. And I remember him telling, you know, he would always tell me that, you know, America is about being, you know, you are responsible, you know, you take advantage of the system in America, but, you know, don't rely on handouts, don't rely, you know, go work for what you want and things like that. So I grew up with that mentality, you know, since I came to America in 1979, 1980, around that time, of being responsible for my actions and being responsible for the things that go on in my life. So that was something that, his name was Dr. Cook. You know, that was something that Dr. Cook would always share with not just our family, but with other Southeast Asian families after the war. So I've always grown up with that in my head, you know, like not to wait for other people. So when it comes to my kids, like I don't think that I don't wait for the government to tell me what's, you know, good for my kids and what's not good for my kids. I do that, you know, myself, right? You know, from controlling the amount of time they spend on YouTube or just watching videos in general to the content that they're watching and things like that. And I don't know, I think that that's each family's responsibility to monitor and if you need to censor something, then censor, you know, the parents should be responsible for that, or the family, or whoever the guardian of that child should be responsible for that. And that's just my personal view, because that's when I came to America, that's the Americans that helped, you know, our family and that I grew up around. They were always preaching responsibility.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't neglect the overreaching arm of the government to try to control finer and more minutia-based aspects of everyone's life over the last 10 years. It's noticeable even where I'm from in Canada, and we have nowhere near the overarching government the United States has. But it didn't start off that way. I think you made a really great point here, is that I think most people generally think, hey, you know, I'm managing my family and my time the way that I think it should be done, not someone getting in the way of that. And that's really what the FTC and COPPA is saying here, is that there are laws in place, and the internet has been such a gray area even since it started for a lot of this stuff. It's going to be really interesting to see, because the content that's been uploaded to YouTube is just in such a mass amount. You know, the reason why they started using algorithms is because they don't have the manpower to go through every single video and deem if it's viable or not like horrible. Like you had the Tide Pod challenge where kids were eating Tide Pods. The things don't even make any sense. But this is how the information is propagated. And this is on, I mean, that's from Twitter, that's on Instagram. It's not just YouTube. We're going to see that roll out over a lot of these platforms because there are so many kids using it. And yeah, we've gone down a very slippery slope here, because once you allow someone to alter what truth or what content should be open source or freedom of speech, it's a slippery slope from here. That's for sure.
I just gotta say, man, as a parent of, you know, 4 kids, man, I just think that I must be a dumbass parent or something if I have to rely on the government to tell me what's good for my kids to watch and what's not good. You know, like I would hate to think that I'm that, you know, I'm a pretty, you know, dumb Asian, but I would think that I must be really stupid if I have to wait for the government to tell me what's good for my kids to watch and what's not, man. You know, like Tiho says, man. I believe that the government should be there to, you know, protect our borders and, you know, negotiate trade deals or whatever, you know, but they don't need to interfere in my personal family to regulate what my kids can watch and what my kids cannot watch. You know, I think that I think I'm capable of doing that myself.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I'm pretty sure the live chat and everyone that's watching completely agrees with you on that as well. All right, guys, let's move on to the next topic that YouTube decided. The problem is YouTube decided to get serious about all of these things all at once. So when people's channels started to get banned, they weren't sure which thing they're enforcing. And we already talked about 2 of them, one being non-commercially viable content, the second one being content geared to children. Let's talk about the third one, going a little bit out of order, but let's talk about the concept of a content cop and being critical. I mean, I'm not a gamer. I'm not into the whole gaming thing, but apparently there was some, you know, fun beef between 2 very popular gamers, where one, you know, had a very popular video making fun of another, and YouTube ended up banning that video. And this has to do with them getting very, very strict on, you know, criticizing others. I can play some of these videos, but they are in the video description, guys, so you can go ahead and check them out. And I don't know if I have like a single one, but there was a lot of this because, again, in December, when people started to get banned, we were all trying to figure out why. And one of them was hey, if you're going to be critical and you're going to criticize other people or potentially anything, your video and perhaps your channel could get banned. And well, I have a show called Crypto Scam. You know, I call out people all the time. We're all critical of other people. This takes away from a lot of the creativity of YouTube and, you know, allowing people to speak their mind if they're critical, and who decides if this is, you know, harassment or not. But basically this is YouTube cracking down and making it making the line a hell of a lot closer to you as to what isn't harassment. General thoughts? I don't know who wants to jump in. Tio, you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, so on December 11th was the day that YouTube started to use the new algorithm, and they made a point of someone named iDubbbz, and you can see it here in this video title called iDubbbz Content Cop Removed. So iDubbbz is a big YouTube content creator, and he jumped out and he was doing a series called Content Cop, which basically goes around and says, like, we were kind of keeping each other in check. Like, if you do something stupid, I'll call you out, or if I do something stupid, you call me out, this type of thing. And YouTube's kind of existed in this nice little state where we keep each other in check through this grapevine or whatever. And that's what iDubbbz had done with Content Cop. He was actually started to make fun of someone named Leafy, who was actually very harsh and in a lot of the videos that he had made. iDubbbz's piece on Content Cop was actually really profound. A lot of the other YouTubers liked it. It did really well. It was actually quite an entertaining video, but it got deleted and is no longer there. And they used iDubbbz as almost as a martyr, at least his video as a martyr, to show that they were just willing to cut down videos that were deemed in any way harassment. And what's difficult—
that video had millions of views. I think it had over 4 million views.
Yeah, millions of views. It was a good one too. I mean, you can still find clips of it from other places, but the whole video has been taken down. And what this sets precedent for is, just like we're saying, is where do we draw the line of if we're being critical of what someone else is doing versus harassment or bullying? And that the lines have been very, very blurred through this area. Whereas in that video, as far as everyone remembers, the only thing that iDubbbz had done was basically made fun of Leafy's chin and said his chin was really small. Everything else was critical up to a degree. YouTube's only response was, well, you can make fun of public figures, but not other people. It's like, okay, well, so you can make fun of Donald Trump or Bill Mayer, but not someone else on the YouTube platform potentially. And again, this is just—
where is that line? Who decides if you are popular or not? If you have your own YouTube channel, how do you not fall into the category of a public figure?
Well, that's a great question, Tone. And one of my best friends is a really good lawyer, and one of the things we were talking about is the difference between celebrities and content creators or influencers, and they're actually deemed different. And one of the FTC ones that we opened up, one of the that you have there, starts to talk about the difference between the social media influencers and the celebrities and the laws that each of them have to abide by in terms of disclosure for affiliate links, or which is, again, we'll
get to that too. We'll get to that. You're always jumping to the next topic.
But they were all woven in together. It was like this tapestry of tomfuckery.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of making fun, man, well, like 80% of the crypto space was making fun of my hair before I shaved my head. Can I just get everybody banned now?
That's a great point. These lines are very, very thin. And, I think a lot of the times in the PC world has done this to comedians too, is where's the line between when we know someone's joking and being critical for the advancement of thought versus where someone's actually being harassing and bullying towards someone specifically?
Tai, you want to comment on this? I mean, again, this goes back to this video.
This content.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just, because I just want to share with your viewers the basis, of what my thoughts are about this content cop stuff, and so that they can explain why I called out the magical crypto guys, those idiots over there, those piece of shit hypocrites. Why I call them piece of shit hypocrites? Okay, so when I came to America, as a refugee, my family is very poor, so I ended up growing up in the ghettos and the black neighborhoods in America, where it's really poor and it's drug infested. I hung around with the wrong black guys and ended up involved in drugs. And I got in trouble for drugs and went to federal prison for nearly 14 years from the time I was 18 to the time I was in my mid 30s. And when I came out, one of the biggest things I was shocked about was that, you know, when I grew up in America, I mean, I had so many people calling me a chink, a gook, you know, slant eyes, you know, every name that you can imagine, to a derogatory term that you can imagine calling an Asian person or a Vietnamese, right? I've heard it hundreds and thousands of times. And, you know, you go to school and these kids pick on you, these white kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, they all pick on you. And, you know, you fight them and then you go back and then you do, you know, it's normal. You know, I make fun of the black kids, black kids make fun of me for being Asian, and the white kids make fun of me and the black kids, and we make fun of them for being, you know, white. And it's not a big deal, you know. Sometimes you have a scuffle, you go to the backyard, you meet after school and behind the school and you fight it out and then you go on with your life, you know. Nobody was shooting each other, nobody was stabbing each other, nobody was, you know, crying about it. Like when I came out of federal prison after nearly 14 years, I was shocked. I was shocked by all these soft ass snowflakes that when somebody call them, you know, if you say that they have a big nose or something, they get offended. Like these, I was shocked, you know, about these millennials and these young kids that get offended because somebody said something about them, or if somebody shared an opinion that they did not like, you know, they get offended. Like imagine that, you know, and I just never, that was very new to me actually, you know, and it took me a while to get used to that, hey man, you know, there's a new generation of soft ass people now to where if you say something that they don't like, they actually get butthurt about it. Like they should, you know, or you say something that you disagree with them about something. Oh, you like Apple stocks? Well, I don't like Apple stocks. I like Tesla stocks. Oh, what? You can't like Tesla stocks. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what? I'm not entitled to my own opinion about what coin, what commodity, what stock that I like. You know, and to me, that's why this content cop is something that's very bizarre to me, you know. But I don't mind when somebody is a content cop when it's for legitimate reasons, right? Like if something that's, you know, fraudulent, something that is misinformation, some of that's fake news, and you call someone out for it, you know, like one of the biggest political YouTubers is a guy named Mark Dice out of San Diego, California, and he's constantly calling out, you know, CNN for all the fake news that they put out. You know, I guess you can call that being a content cop. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's a political commentator, and I don't see anything wrong with that. When you call somebody out for misinformation, for fake news, for not disclosing something, like the reason why, if you pull up that screen share again and show that video, crypto investing number 152, where I call out, you know, the piece of shit hypocrites like the founder of Monero, which is Fluffy Pony, the founder of Litecoin, which is Charlie Lee. And you know what? It sucks that I have to call out Charlie Lee about that, because when I first got into Bitcoin, Charlie Lee and I were at one of the first conferences about crypto, and he and I sat there and ate lunch together. You know, and we were talking about how the crypto scene was. I just never thought that someday he would turn around and be a fucking piece of shit hypocrite, you know? And when I say that, you know, like a lot of people know that I trade all the coins. Like you guys know that I'll trade anything, right? But I don't sit there and trade something behind somebody's back. Like I'm not gonna trade a coin behind your back, talk shit about it, and then go behind you guys and then trade it or invest into it. You know what I'm saying? If I invest into anything or trade anything, anyone can ask me, hey man, did you buy this coin, or did you invest in this coin or trade this coin? I'm happy to disclose what I buy and sell. You know what I'm saying? But for these piece of shit hypocrites to come out with their own altcoins like Monero and Litecoin, and then turn around and talk shit about other people doing the same thing, to me, that's being a hypocrite. And then to tell everybody that they are, you know, they're an idiot or they're stupid or or whatever for investing into the Ethereum token, right? And then behind everyone's back, push $1.4 million into it, So they're being a content cop, but then they go and push $1.4 million collectively into the very project that they've been criticizing and talking shit about. And that's why I call them, piece of shit, hypocrites. If they would have just come online and be a content cop and say whatever they want to say about Ethereum, but also disclose, hey man, we're talking shit about Ethereum and their blockchain and their community and everything, but we just want to, full disclosure, our crew is pushing $1.4 million into a blockchain project that's built on their platform, then I would be in the wrong to call them a piece of shit, a hypocrite, okay? But the fact that this is all out there and it's fully in government documents and disclosure documents that these guys push $1.4 million into the very project that they've been talking shit about, that's what qualifies them to be piece of shit hypocrites and content coppers, So.
And the other thing I was gonna, oh man, I had to throw it in there on. I was gonna say something I already forgot. Tio, you wanna? Well, while I remember what I was gonna say, you wanna jump in on this?
No, I mean, I was sadly, I don't want to say sadly, but I was laughing at Ty's story there, not because I'm laughing at you, Ty, but I kind of remember those days too, where, if you'd scuffle it out and the school they were kind of used to it. Like the boys would fight. It was kind of a normal thing. Like nobody would get all that upset about it. But now our culture has gotten a lot weaker with what it can take. Even I think for any of you that watched the Ricky Gervais smash down on the Hollywood show.
I love that.
Yeah, it was, and we need that.
Yeah, now I remember what I was gonna say, because I grew up. I'm also from an immigrant family. I went to high school in Brooklyn, and I played sports. I got into sports when I got to high school, and played a lot of basketball. Saturday mornings. That's what we did. Man, the kind of shit talk we used to say to each other on the basketball courts. Back in the '90s. I mean, man, like we get in trouble. I can't even say those words now. I can even like the F word. You guys hope not the one you're probably thinking of. Like I can't even repeat these things. Like it starts with FA and not FU. I mean, the kind of stuff we used to say to each other was insane.
Yeah, you know what? But you know what though, man? That shit was funny as shit, man. Look, matter of fact, check this out, man. Well, I remember this white dude. He told me this fucking joke, man. Dude, I died laughing, man. I freaking died laughing, man. He said, "What's the difference?" Asian dude walks into the eye doctor, and after a careful examination, the eye doctor tells him, hey, after a close examination, I discovered, you have a cataract, and the Asian dude goes, I don't have cataract. I have Rincon Continental.
No. Yeah. No, but I mean, you still can kind of get away with it in comedy clubs, but that's almost about it, man. I mean, if we're gonna share like funny jokes, the one that cracked me up the most, we were at I was at a comedy club, and I was with it was a few of us. It was one of my friends, and she was Caribbean, she was Black, and her husband was he was Polish, he was white. And there was a comedian. I don't want to say, man, it's like everything is offensive now. He was definitely from those, what we used to refer to as redneck states. It was pretty clear. Again, let's be politically correct here. And when he noticed our table, it was a pretty diverse table, and he picked on them because he was a big guy. He was like 6'7" in feet, pretty tall, like NBA height. She was also tall. She was a model. And when you saw their table, he was like, the first thing he said was, "Whoa, is that big guy your husband? Sorry, your boyfriend?" And she said, "Husband." And then he goes like this. He's like, "Oh, let me guess. He has to be Jewish. He has to be Jewish. He's got to have money." And and they're both like, no, Polish. And that brought on the best, split-second joke I might have ever heard, which will probably offend a lot of people right now. And the comedian goes like this: wait, you're Polish? And I remember, she's African-American. Got to be politically correct here. He's like, now how are you going to do that to your future kids? They're going to break into a house, forget what they stole?
You know what? It's been a long time, man, since someone said something that offends me, man. I wish somebody would say something that offends me so I can have a good laugh, man. Like, I remember growing up, man, like there was a constant battle for other kids in school to come up, one-up each other and do one better Asian joke, man. And like, I can't remember the last time I heard a really good Asian joke that would crack me up, man. Because people are so sensitive nowadays, man. Comedy is dead nowadays because of that shit, man. Because of all these soft ass snowflakes. And to see Ricky, I don't know how to say his name, Gervais or Jervis or whatever.
Ricky Gervais. Yeah. You know what? It's funny. I just saw his speech at the awards like yesterday. Someone sent it to me. It was hilarious.
Yeah. Did you see that? The look on like Tom Hanks' face and all the Tim Cook? I bet you if they bring the camera down, each one of them are shitting a brick, man. They look like every one of them was about to shit a brick and blow a gas.
Right, but it's not that they were really offended. It's just that they thought that others would find it offensive, and you can't have a camera on them laughing about that. It's like everyone is thinking about what other people are thinking.
Yeah, they're caught in the crossfire. Like they want to laugh at the joke, but they're afraid if they get in trouble for laughing at the joke too. They're like, oh shit, I'm in a really awkward position now.
You know what crypto has given me, man? I will share this, man. Like, when I was working in the corporate world, right? In the corporate world, I was always having to watch out what I say and walk on eggshells. Like. I remember there was this black guy that worked with me, right? He grew up on the streets like I did, in the hood like I did, and somehow or another, he ended up working on Wall Street with me. And we were flying around to each city in America to teach people how to trade stocks, futures, Forex, options, and at that time. And I remember him acting all prim and proper and everything in front of everyone. And then after work one day, he and I were sitting there and we were eating dinner after work in one of the cities we were at. I can't remember because we flew around to so many cities in America to teach people how to trade stocks. And I remember he was talking all prim and proper to me. It was just me and him. All the white guys at the table already got up and they went to get a beer or something. And just for that brief moment, it was just me and him. And he was talking to me very, very proper, very clean. And I looked at him and I said, man, nigga, please. Who you think you fooling, bro? And I looked at him like that. And I said, man, I grew up in the hood, man. You ain't fooling nobody, bro. And then he looked around like this. I remember the look on his face, man, when I said that. He looked around. He looked at me and he looked around and there was nobody around. And he goes, shit. Man, let me tell you something, nigga. And dude, he broke out of character so quick, And I said, and I said, hey man, let me just tell you something, bro. Man, let me tell you something, man. You good, bro. You good, bro. And then he looked at me. He goes, man, when I'm on Wall Street, bro, if you want me to talk like a white person, I will talk like a white person to you, mister. But if you want me to talk to you like I'm from the hood, nigga, I'll talk to you like I'm from the hood, And right at that moment, all the white guys that got their beer, they all came back to the table. And I just sat there with him and I just looked at him, we had that connection. We understood each other. But man, we was cracking up, man. But back to what, so we don't want to get off topic too far here, man. I think that, in addition to being the content cops that's on there, I think that one of the things that a lot of people fail to realize during the censorship issue is they forget that these laws, one thing that always surprises me is when, you know, I was in federal prison for nearly 14 years. I'm one of the few human beings on the planet that has been through a federal criminal trial, like actually go to a trial and, you know, have a jury of my peers find me guilty for drugs, right? And to go to federal prison and to come out and be free today and, you know, be wealthy today and be financially free and be able to retire early, that's just extremely rare, okay? Because nobody goes to a federal criminal trial in America at the federal level and wins. And whether you win or lose, right? If you go to trial, you're not going to win. Okay, they have like a 98, 99% conviction rate. It's very simple. You want life sentence or you want to plead guilty to 10 years? That's just how the system works. That's why they have such a high conviction rate. And at that time, I was like, man, I'm not guilty of all these drugs I am guilty of drugs, but not of all these drugs that you claim that I have, because I didn't have it, you know? And so I went to trial and I lost, and that's why they gave me so much time for something that I should have gotten probation for. And thankfully, you know, Trump, you know, just signed the Justice Reform Act, and it actually, now I gotta go back to court and get my sentence corrected to what it was supposed to be, but I already did the time, so it really doesn't matter. But at least, you know, on paper, I can show, you know, my kids and everyone that I did not commit the, you know, horrendous drug crimes that they claim that I had.
Yeah, so you're looking for it to just be official from the government that you deserve maybe a few months, even though you ended up serving 14 years.
Yeah, yeah. And so because of that experience with the US, you know, Justice Department, you know, I was taught about US law and just about law in general, much more so than most other crypto YouTubers that I know of. Like pretty much like, and so like on our team, we hire a former federal prosecutor from the, who's a senior SEC attorney and a former federal prosecutor for FINRA to, you know, like review everything that we say in our paid products that we offer to our clients and our customers and our viewers before we release it to the public, you know, so that we make sure that, you know, we don't say anything that violates US financial laws in our paid products. Because whenever somebody buys a product from us, it's extremely, one of our trading courses, now that it's a paid product instead of just a free video on YouTube like this one right here, then the laws completely change. And that's something that people don't realize, is that when there is money involved, the laws are different than when it's free. So just like you and I can pretty much say whatever we want to say right here when it's free, but the minute that we accept a penny or $1 from someone for our content, now the laws completely change. And that's something that people don't realize on YouTube, right? That's why we don't, even though we have, so we don't get the ad revenues on our channel. Like we turn on the ads and everything, because if we don't turn on the ads, then our videos don't get recommended to viewers. So the viewer count drops, because a lot of people say, hey, why don't you just turn off all the ads and then you don't have to deal with all these bullshit laws. And I'm like, if I turn it off, then YouTube doesn't recommend my videos to other people searching for that material. So I'm caught in a situation where I have to turn on the YouTube ads, right? So that YouTube recommends it to people, right? And then, but we don't have it connected to a bank account or anything at the moment. So we don't take YouTube ad revenues. So that way, when I say that, you know, no one's paying me to say what I say or to share my opinion, I can say that with, you know, confidence, because I'm not getting the YouTube money. It's just sitting there. I don't even know how much is in there, right? On the FTC guidelines, you might want to, I don't know if you have the link to it, but you
this is a great bridge to our next topic for sure.
Yeah, and this is something that's very important, because I don't know if this is true or not. I have no evidence, okay? But I suspect that one thing that I do notice is that a lot of the channels that got censored, they are collecting ad revenues, okay? And under the FTC, just so that you guys understand that living outside the US, right, or not familiar with US law, the FTC is responsible for products and services that are sold in America and around the world to US customers. And then the SEC is like the civilian side, where they handle the financial markets. And then it's FINRA, okay, that actually and FinCEN are the ones that actually prosecute people for that handle the criminal side. The SEC handles more of the civil side, from my understanding. And I'm not a lawyer, okay? So, so when the FCC, like if you sell something like laptops, computers, cell phones, cars, motorcycles, anything like that, the FCC has jurisdiction over that. And if you talk about, let's just say that these people that I noticed that got censored, they're promoting these referral links. For, I don't know if you can pull one up that has a referral link, right? Like they'll say, hey, check out, if you sign up for BitMEX or for Binance or something, check out my referral links, right? Use my referral link, right? And the reason why people do that is because if I use a BitMEX referral link, right, and you sign up to be a customer of BitMEX or Binance, and every time you make a trade, I get a small fraction of the commissions of the transaction fee, right? So if I receive that kind of money and I put that referral link to Binance or to BitMEX on my channel, I have to disclose by FTC law, the Federal Trade Commission law, I have to disclose that to my viewers that I am receiving a commission or a kickback, right? Or a financial gain or a monetary gain from posting that referral link. And if you use it, I'm going to financially benefit from that. So that has to be disclosed clearly on your website, on your video, or somewhere on your channel.
Right,
okay?
right. We're gonna, this gets us right into the next topic. And this is actually why I have removed all referral and affiliate links from my YouTube channel and YouTube descriptions, because, after looking at the laws a little bit better and, speaking with a couple of lawyers, this is what has to be done. And I mean, I didn't know this in the past because, again, like when you're not popular, nobody cares. But when you start to get popular or everyone in the industry is doing it, you gotta, step back and think and consult. And you are absolutely right, Tai Zen. That is an FTC law, which is why the only referral links I have now are on tonevays.com. And when you click on, say, to go to eToro, you actually get redirected to a page that has the following disclaimers. Tone Vays might be profiting from some of the affiliate links on his website. Products or services, may not be legal in your jurisdiction because, again, I have a global audience. In this particular one, you actually have to click, are you going to register for this product as a U.S. Person or as a non-U.S. person? And it redirects you accordingly. It also gives you, warning, 75% of retail investor accounts lose money trading CFDs and other derivatives, right? So I do have all of these disclaimers, but a lot of YouTubers don't follow this. And you do have to be careful about that. That is an FTC regulation on content creators as to, for full disclaimers on whether they are profiting or not. On that same page, I used to be an Amazon associate. So I used to make money from people purchasing, my recommendations on tech gear from Amazon, but Amazon dumped me as an associate for crazy reasons. So it's not easy maintaining a lot of these relationships, mostly due to laws. This also transitions us into harmful and dangerous content violations that a lot of YouTubers got. Tio, you wanna comment on this part of the FTC's regulation on promoting content that you profit from?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the reasons why people got hit specifically. We could go into the potential of it maybe also being somewhat of a malicious attack on the algorithm itself, but more specifically, we did see it across the board. We saw it for people that were promoting vape pens and stuff like this, which could be considered dangerous or harmful or regulated goods, and crypto falls in that space as well. My first businesses, we did affiliate marketing, and all the websites had those disclosures when you would click through. It says, the consumer of this or the creator of this website is reviewing a product, and maybe, we're not responsible for any of this and that. And that legal jargon is as annoying as it is, it was important because it saves us. Now, the other important part that I don't think a lot of YouTubers pay any attention to is when you upload a video, there's a very specific section on the advanced side that says, is this a paid for or sponsorship or sponsored partnership? And if you have a partnership agreement with these companies and you're uploading these referral links and you're not either disclosing it in the description above the referral links or checking that box with YouTube, they could come after you legally. And that's what some of the videos that we're talking about in not just the COPPA laws, but the FTC laws as well. And YouTube has actually decided to say to the FTC that if you're a content creator and you're big enough, the FTC will come right after you. They won't aim at Google anymore or YouTube. They'll aim at the specific content creators. And that's a huge change to the way that they had operated in the past, which means that you're now liable for any of the lawsuits that someone might decide to pick up unless you have those disclosures. Since the very early days since the very first videos I ever posted, they all say none of this is investment advice. And entering anything is risky. Do not listen to pretty much anything anyone says. There's like a bunch of things that just release like a waiver form when you go, because you can jump out of an airplane and if you die, it's not actually the company's fault because you signed a waiver. And you also have to say it vocally because then they could assume the fact that maybe they didn't read the description. So you need to include all these things. And I was lucky enough to have really sound, well put together legal advice right from day one because of the previous work I had done. And I don't think a lot of content creators recognize that. And it could end up badly. I mean, as you saw in that FTC video when we first started this, the FTC says YouTube is the barrel and the content creators are the fish. And we're going for hunting and a fish in a barrel. It's not a good thing to hear them say.
And the thing is, if YouTube does become only a channel for children, where all YouTube content is only geared to children because the adults leave, and YouTube becomes, the kids network. So the FTC clearly does not. They want their money, right? Like they want their cut on this. I highly think it's at some point. While again, first intentions might have been to protect the consumer, eventually it becomes how much money can we get, and they are going to go after these edge cases. And it does sound like YouTube is putting in all kinds of disclaimers and explaining to the FTC that, hey, you know what? These guys are big enough content creators. Go after them directly. Because YouTube will set up shit on their side to where, like you just mentioned, the FTC could go after a specific content creator. So we all have to be a lot more careful now about promoting affiliate links and promoting things that, bring in revenue for the content creator, making it, again, harder and harder and harder to make some kind of money as a content creator, which is making me want to go back to trading, like what Tai did, not really do much YouTube content anymore and focus strictly on trading. It is something I'm considering. It's not going to happen in 2020, but let's see how 2020 goes with content creation. Because if I can't make enough money as a content creator to pay for everything that I do, I got to cut back on the things that I do and go back to what used to make me money before I started, which is trading. I don't really want to go back to working on Wall Street. I like this, my last 5 years of not having a boss. So going back to trading, I guess, is the option here. So a lot of people have to be careful. You don't want CFTC to go after you for $100 million, even if they know you don't have it.
Yeah, the abstract part there too was we saw with the SEC's relationship with Block One that, hey, look, as long as you guys raise enough money to pay the mafia off, we don't really care.
There's this culture in crypto, and I'll use two examples, okay? And one is from when I was in the federal prison for drugs. There's this young kid that came in, and we called him Neck. I mean, he was like really skinny, and he was like 6'5", but for some reason he had a neck like Mike Tyson or like The Rock. But he was just this little skinny kid. If you just took a profile of his picture just from the head and shoulders, you would think this dude was an American football linebacker or something. But when you see him in real life, I mean, he's like this big, but he's got this huge neck. So everybody just called him Neck. And he came in and he was like, dude, man, screw this, man. I ain't doing this time, This is BS, they shouldn't put me in prison for marijuana and all this other stuff. He's just looking for a petty marijuana crime. and he had like I think like a 2-year sentence. I mean, just go through the court system alone, that took almost a year. So he basically had like almost a year left. And so because he had such very little time, they put him in the federal prison where I was at, which was for people who had more time, right? Because I had a 15-year sentence, but he had to come in there and so they can process him. And then within just a month or two, they sent him to what's called a prison camp. And a prison camp is just so that the way the prison works, they put you in a maximum security, medium security, and then low security, and then a minimum security. The minimum security has no fence, no walls, no nothing.
And that's where Charlie Schramm, since you mentioned earlier, he was in a camp.
Yeah, so that's where, So this guy went there, and so I said goodbye to him and everything, because he was my cellie at that time, my roommate at that time. I said, hey man, good luck, stay out of trouble, and don't come back in here, man. You know, I don't want to see you in here. And then like about a year and a half later, I see him in there again. And I'm like, dude, what happened? You know? And he went out there to the camp and they said, hey man, there's no fence around here, but you're still a prisoner. Like you have to stay in this building and within the grass area, within the lawn, the gardens around the prison. Like you can't just leave the prison. Like even though there's no fence, by law, you are still a prisoner of the US. You have to finish your time. And he had like about less than a year left. And he said, man, screw that, man. Yeah, I ain't got to do, you ain't gonna tell me what to do. And he just walked off the prison. So guess what he got charged with? He got charged with escape, which is a 5-year sentence. He just walked off, you know, and he's like, you know, how can I escape, you know, if there's no fence or no wall to keep me here? You know, and I'm like, are you stupid? That's the law. The law is that you have to be within this area right here. You can't leave. Just because you can walk around the building and come in and out, the doors are not locked and everything, that doesn't mean you're outside of a prison. You're still a prisoner of the US until you finish your time. And so, and let me share another one in the crypto space. I saw a video one time. I met when you and I were at that conference in New York.
Oh God! By William Moogie Oogie, the Token Fest, ridiculous. Oh God, that was such a scam. That must have been one of the most sleaziest, scammiest little conference I've been to. It was horrible.
Well, there's a guy that I met who was one of my viewers at that time named Ian Molina, you know, who has a.
I know. Yeah, he's interviewed me on his channel. I've met him a few times. I know Ian Molina.
So at that time, he had a channel, but it was not talking about crypto. And then after I met him, and he later on started talking about crypto and started getting a big following and everything, right? But I remember, I saw one video where he was answering questions about hedge fund that he was trying to set up or whatever. And I called him up and I said, hey, bro, you can't be talking about, a hedge fund, man, because by law, before you can talk about that, you have to know if the person you're talking to, you have to KYC them and you have to AML them, and they have to be an accredited investor. You can't just randomly talk to random people about your hedge fund, especially in public like that. Maybe in private one-on-one is different, but you can't be in a public medium like YouTube and broadcast to hundreds of people and do a Q&A about your upcoming hedge fund, because that's illegal in the US. And he thought I was just joking at that time. He didn't. I said, man, you got to take that video down, man, because that violates US financial laws, man. And he thought I was joking. And sure enough, I'm not going to go into detail, about what happened, but he was made to take that video down. It wasn't me who made him, but I was just the one that was just suggesting it to him, But later on, it was necessary for him to take that video down to comply with U.S. financial laws. I'm not going to go into detail about how it went, how it was done, but that's just something that we have people in the space that does not have any has not been around Wall Street and the financial scene and the laws that apply to the finances, and a lot of people think that, oh, it doesn't matter, I can do whatever I want. I'm like, no, you can't, because you have to abide by the laws that's in the jurisdiction, the country or the land that you're living in. Each country has specific laws, and you got to make sure whatever it is that you're doing, is in compliance with the laws of that area that you're living in. You can't just because you think that marijuana should be legal, just because you think that, but if you happen to live in a certain state or a country where it's not legal, you can't just randomly go use it and expect that there's no repercussions, you know? So I think that that's something that people need to be aware of, is that instead of saying, hey, you know, my opinion is this law is not necessary, or my opinion is that I don't like this law. It doesn't matter what you like. If that's the laws of that area that you're living in, you want to comply with it, you know?
Yeah, and this is where well, this is where we start to see the difficulty that YouTube and Google have as a corporation too. They're dealing with laws from around the world, international audiences, all different, and they're using generally the FTC and the SEC is like the North Star of the guidelines to follow, because they're usually the most strict in enforcement. So paying attention to it, you know, a lot of the content creators in the crypto space probably don't recognize the fact that they're skirting some of these financial laws because, oh, you know, crypto's for the people. And I think it was noticeable in the fact that so many of the content creators thought that they were getting banned because Bitcoin was like the coolest thing. And obviously Google wants to ban Bitcoin or something. You know, we have this we have like an echo chamber of interest, and we think that our little niche is super important, but it's not, but it does skirt a lot of the interest laws in the financial sector, and you do fall into those categories. So, you know, arming yourself, either having a good lawyer or having a good friend that's a good lawyer, that will help you, you know, make intelligent decisions, because you can definitely be targeted, especially if you're an American citizen. It's much easier for them to go after you, or if you're dealing with large funds. I mean, just recently we saw Joby Weeks get taken down with the Bit Club mining network. So it's going to continue to happen. Although I think it's more likely that they'll go after the people that are trying to make big moves first, and then from there they'll work down, I guess, what you might call the little fish in the barrel. But it was rampant across YouTube. It wasn't just harmful goods and regulated ideas in the crypto space. It was across the board that they were hitting channels, and it was likely an algorithm. And I thought it was quite entertaining to see the conspiracy theory of, oh, the government's so trying to shut down Bitcoin. Look, they're censoring all the YouTube channels, when it was very obvious that this was not the case. This was a fresh rollout of all the FTC rules. And yeah, for better or for worse, we have to abide by those laws unless you want to try to fight the law, which is usually a losing battle.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that as well. This video is only 2 minutes. I do want to play it because it was hilarious. But this is our last topic before we put it all together. And I think this one versus the rest, I think this is the one that affects the crypto space the most. And this is the harmful and dangerous content, which again, very vague. They're not explaining to you specifically. But most of the videos and most of the YouTubers in crypto that ended up getting banned had to do with harmful and dangerous content. Now, this also refers to promoting regulated content. Now, they do give you some examples of regulated content, as in if you're promoting, let's say, alcohol, or you're promoting tobacco, if you're promoting things that are regulated based on a certain age usually, but there isn't much clarity as to what does it mean to promote a derivative exchange? Does that fall into promoting harmful and dangerous content just because it's age restricted and somewhat financially restricted, and perhaps you need to be of a certain maturity level? This is the same thing with e-cigarettes. And Tiho, like you mentioned, you have videos about ayahuasca, right? Yeah. How does that fall into this narrative, into this regulatory or crackdown space?
If you listen to my ayahuasca videos or any of the plant medicine videos, I actually have a variation of that. This is not financial advice. None of this is health or medical advice. Please, you know, like if you're interested in any of these things, don't do it. This is not anything you should touch. And you have to make disclaimers, I think, regardless of what area it's in. This Louis Rossman video, the one you've got up here, is really noticeable.
Can I just play it? Because this is...
How many followers does he have on that channel?
I don't know how many followers. I can open it on a.
Right there,
let me
it's
open-
Oh, 51,000.
Okay,
Yeah, and he's
so-
got like
so-
1.4 million on his main channel.
Oh, okay. So I'm not sure what this one, but this is just a funny video, and it clearly shows that this is not a ban on crypto. This is an algo gone wrong.
Hey everybody. Today I'd like to share with you some content that I'm not sure is appropriate for kids of all ages. It may be considered harmful and dangerous. So I'm warning you right now that if you have children watching, I suggest that you have them look away immediately and unsubscribe. Are you ready? Okay. Harmful or dangerous content. An angry Clinton. Oh.
Yeah, you can see on the side, he's got 1.6 million subscribers on that channel.
Yeah. So this was the entire video, basically. It's about to end in a few seconds.
The way YouTube works, if I get one or two more of those, I won't be able to live stream anymore. I won't be able to upload long videos anymore. But it seems like a fitting punishment for what I've done. It seems like a fitting punishment for uploading content that is so harmful, so dangerous, so disgusting. I understand why they took the need to take this down on Christmas Eve. Thank you, Susan Wojcicki, for keeping YouTube safe. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video on Vimeo.com/Rossman Group. You're uploading videos on this channel if random stuff like that keeps getting me strikes. Vimeo.com/Rossman Group. That's Vimeo.com/Rossman.
So pretty clearly, like, look, it was an algo gone bad, but a lot of people got these strikes. This is a 10-minute video, so we're not going to play it. And again, all these videos are in the video, are in this video's description. And this is the one that probably the algo went a little overboard on. And I really think the problem of all of this happened is YouTube decided to implement the crackdown on all 4 of these things we just discussed in this video at the same time. And the timing of Christmas wasn't exactly ideal.
A few things just so that the Western audience knows that they're watching this right now. You know, the sarcasm that's in that video, even though we find it funny, just so you guys know, in Asia, that completely goes over their head. Unless it's an Asian that's been, you know, to a Western school or has Western friends, in Asia, they don't understand sarcasm. that concept does not exist. So just so you guys know, so if the Asians watch that video, they're going to look at it and go, why is this cat dangerous? So just FYI, you know.
All right. Yeah, so any closing thoughts? I do want to talk about, you know, a lot of people have already started leaving YouTube. So this guy has a channel about drug addiction and, you know, helping people out of their drug addiction. And again, doesn't want to deal with YouTube and them mislabeling his videos. Our own Chris Dunn has, you know, put out a goodbye video to YouTube. I don't know where he's going to be doing content in the future, or if he is going to be doing content in the future. And the thing is, like, YouTube did come out and say, hey, but like, I don't even think YouTube realized, look, the algo affected the crypto people more so because we're probably the most egregious, you know, bunch that doesn't do any disclaimers, right? Like, I'm not surprised by this. Like,
Okay. Okay. So here's my belief. Okay, because I've had to deal with the government most of my life, you know, more so than I like to. But here's something I've learned about dealing with the government in the U.S. Okay, when I was still living in the U.S. is that a lot of this stuff that we think that they, some folks may say that, you know, or we might think that the algorithms were bad or something went wrong, okay? I don't think so. I don't think it went wrong. I think it did exactly what it was told to do. Because we built, we're currently building some trading software, and whenever we put the math formulas in wrong, or the algorithms in wrong for our trading, you know, it does, the computer does exactly what we tell it to do. So if we tell it to, you know, do the math wrong, it's going to do it wrong. It's not because it's doing it on purpose, it's just doing what we told it to do, you know? So when the algorithms ban or censor or remove certain channels or videos, I don't think that it's a mistake. Some engineer had to sit there and type in the code that, hey, if a video has this, or any of these factors, or a combination of these factors, censor the video or delete the video or block the channel or deactivate the channel or do something. So somebody, YouTube made the decision and gave it to their engineers, and their engineers put it in the software. So the software is doing what it was told to do. So I don't think it's a mistake. Now, for it to all hit all at one time, okay, you know, on our trading channel, we like to talk about, you know, looking at things logically and factually and have facts to say what we do and be able to identify when something's just an opinion. So what I'm sharing next here, I would like to inform your audience that it's just my personal opinion, okay, is that the reason why YouTube is doing this, in my opinion, is because of Donald Trump, okay? They've been cracking down on lots of YouTubers, okay, on YouTube, because the people that have talked, said positive things about President Donald Trump, right? I wouldn't be surprised just me saying the words President Donald Trump is good president or whatever like that. It's going to be transcribed in when they scan this video. And I would not be surprised if they demonetize this video just because I said Donald Trump's name in this video.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
None of the other crazy shit we said earlier, that's not what triggered it.
Yeah, because it's happened to my Vietnamese channel. It's happened on my Vietnamese channel where when I mention, you know, President Donald Trump's name or says anything positive about him, the video gets demonetized. Okay, and that's the only thing that I can think of that's in common between the videos that I get demonetized, right? And I have to submit it for manual review. They review it and then they turn on the monetization back on again. But anyways, in 2016, most people outside of America don't know this, but a lot of the people on YouTube that were speaking positive about Trump helped contribute to him getting elected. And YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and all these big tech giants realize that. And they realized that that was one of the tools that Trump used to help him get elected as president. And they're scared shitless that it's gonna happen again. So in my opinion, they're doing everything they can to censor the people on YouTube or on social media that could possibly contribute to getting Trump reelected again. Now, if they just target those people specifically, what happens is then people can sue them and all kinds of stuff, because these YouTubers that speak positive about Donald Trump, they've already been invited to the White House, you know, to have a meeting with the president and things like that and talk about how they're getting censored. So I think that YouTube's response after that White House meeting with all the political YouTubers that are on Trump's side, after that event happened, I think that YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, what they're saying is, okay, we can't target these political commentators.
Sorry to interrupt, Tai. One of the things I wanted to point out here, it's an article from 2018, and it's kind of what I started to jump into right at the beginning when they had banned Alex Jones. Mm-hmm. And what this article is talking about, it says, and on top of that, YouTube has removed millions of channels and videos that violated the company's harmful content policies. At this time, most notably was Alex Jones, but the barrage of videos, which were those that kept engagement high. And what we're looking at isn't necessarily politically motivated, but engagement motivated, that when you have a group of people that are interested in something, that they'll go down the rabbit hole watching. Like, I know when I go down like an Egypt trip and I'm like interested in how long I think Egypt's maybe been around or whatever, I'll watch a bunch of Egypt videos, and then YouTube keeps feeding me content based off that engagement algorithm. And basically, I think where we were seeing the most notable hits come in from the start of 2018 was that engagement algorithm change. Like, now if you type in Iran-US war, all you see is CNBC, BBC, all the top news channels. All the regular commentators on YouTube no longer get highlight spots in those sections at all.
Agreed. They're purposely only showing the people, the channels that support the Democrat side, and they won't. When you search for something, like I just searched this morning for I heard about the Iran shooting those missiles at the U.S. air bases. So I was curious to see if this was true or just this fake news or what, So I searched on YouTube and I typed in, Iran missile attack, the Al-Assad air base attack, things like that. And there's not one single individual YouTuber that was listed on the first page results. It's all the Democratic news channels like CNN, MSNBC, things like that. And what I was saying there, to add to what Tiho is saying there, is that I think that instead of just targeting these political YouTube channels and getting sued by the government, right? What they're doing is they're making it look like they're not targeting just those political commentators and YouTubers. They're saying, oh, we're attacking everybody, it's network wide. It's not just a single group of people. And just to cover up the fact that they are going after a single group of people that is helping Trump get reelected. That's what I believe is happening, and that we are caught in the crosshairs of it, right? So, that's just my personal opinion. I mean, I'm not the ones making the decisions at YouTube or at Google or at Facebook or Twitter. So, but that's, I think that's what's happening. And they're just using the $170 million fines and all the other stuff as an excuse, okay? But for example, like when I got caught up, when I was put in federal prison for drugs during the peak of the drug war in America, they said that they were cleaning up the streets of drugs and all this other stuff, right? And it's funny because when they put all these young kids in prison with all these lengthy prison sentences, they realized they screwed up, right? They were originally making these laws to target the minority and poor and minority communities, the Blacks and Hispanics. And instead, they rounded up some white kids in there too. And I know that they didn't intentionally do that, because when the white parents start complaining about their kids getting these lengthy sentences, the Black parents were complaining about it too. The Hispanic parents were complaining about it too. None of it got corrected, but all the white kids' sentences miraculously the laws for them got changed, and so they got their sentence reduced, right? So all these parents were complaining, hey man, these drug sentences are too harsh. We shouldn't lock kids up for 15, 20, 30, 50 years for 1 or 2 grams of drugs, right? And what happened was they would release these white kids and go, oh, we can't, I'll give you guys an example, like the marijuana. Like if you were a white kid and you got caught with marijuana with one plant, they charge you with 2 kilograms of marijuana. During the peak of the drug war, you got sentenced to 2 kilograms of marijuana, even though you only had a plant that was this tall. Okay, it didn't even produce yet. And they said in the future, when that plant becomes an adult, it's capable of producing roughly 2 kilograms of marijuana. So they sentenced you to that. And the parents were coming, hey, that's illegal. Like, how can you do that, right? And so they went and they corrected the sentence. But all the Black kids that got sentenced for crack, right? They said crack was more dangerous, so they're going to sentence the Black kids 100 times, to a more harsher sentence. So if you were a white kid who got busted with, cocaine, 50 grams of cocaine, you would get probation or a year, 2 years at most, no more than 5 years. But if you were a Black kid and you got caught with the same amount of drugs, they would call it crack, and they would give you 10 years, 15 years for it. you know? And so when they made these changes, right, sometimes they'll do things to target a specific group. In this case, they were targeting the minority groups, but then they caught a bunch of other people that were not minorities in the net also. And I think that this is the same thing that's happening right now, is that they're targeting the channels that are supporting President Trump. And we are, you know, we run crypto YouTube channels, and we're just caught in the net. That's what I believe is happening. It's an election issue. I don't think that, even though we discussed that it's an FTC issue, it could be an FTC issue, the child protection issue, the SEC security related issue. We can talk about all that, but ultimately I believe that they are targeting all these channels because of the election, of the re-election, and they do not want Trump winning the election next year, or this year, the end of this year.
Yeah, no, thanks for the commentary on this, guys. And the main reason why this video was late by like 30 minutes this morning is because when I woke up, I don't even look at the news this morning, but the Ukrainian airline passenger jet crashing, that, like, literally, I'm like, what the hell? I fly that airline all the time. That's probably the airline I've flown the most through Europe in the last 2 years out of any other airline. So when I see a Ukrainian flight, and at first I think it was reported as a mechanical failure, but they immediately removed that. And there's lots of evidence already that it was accidentally shut down. And that's a problem. And while I spoke positively of Trump all throughout last year's election, this is going to be bad. And if you asked me even like a week, like not necessarily a week ago, but if you asked me up to 2 weeks ago, I thought that Trump would win the re-election with the biggest landslide victory in history. But this whole Iran thing is a problem. It's a huge problem. And here's what a lot of these people, because a lot of, and I briefly mentioned it in my tweet this morning, what a lot of these people in power, like Trump, who's in his 70s, and most senators are clearly older, like when they were 20 and 30 years old, commercial flying was not what it is today. The amount of nomads, the amount of people like myself, I probably fly 30, 40 times a year, more. What am I saying, 30, 40? I probably fly 50 plus times a year. The amount of people now flying is greater than ever. Even 20 years ago, around 9/11, the industry of tourism was a fraction of what it is today. And 5 years from now, it's going to be huge. Everyone is traveling. And when commercial airlines start falling out of the sky because of this, that's a huge problem. I don't see it as a wartime president has never been, not reelected in U.S. history. This incident could be something that basically prevents Trump's reelection, because the whole, look, I don't know the politics behind it. I'm not a political commentator. I haven't paid attention too much. I'm too into the crypto space. But this is really, really bad when commercial airlines start falling out of the sky.
Yeah. And you know what's sad is that back to what Tiho was saying, that when you search for something on YouTube, only the one side of the story pops up, like only like CNN, MSNBC, all the Democrat news channels pop up. It's kind of hard to tell what is true and what's not. When I heard about the Iranian missile attacks on the U.S. air bases, I'm searching for it to confirm if this is true or not. And it takes a while. Yeah. It takes a while. It took me like probably 40 minutes. And the reason why is because the only channels that would show up are all one-sided channels. And when I say one-sided, I'm not saying that they're favoring just one opinion, but I want to hear from both sides or from different perspectives so I can see if this is a story or not.
Yeah. So what they've done is they're highlighting what they consider to be reputable news sources. Like, for instance, in the top 10 here, when you just type U.S. Iran with nothing else, the South China Morning Post, The Sun, Guardian News, ABC News, BBC News, PBS NewsHour, Global Television. But those used to be like us. We used to be the top ones who would own the space, and we would rant about whatever our opinions are. And in this whole combating of whatever they want to call fake news, this is another big part of the algorithm that YouTube had been working on for a while, which is how do they highlight what they consider to be reputable sources of opinion or news to maybe combat the nonsense. Especially, I mean, we can very easily imagine not only what is the we know the level of deep fakes that are going to be coming out over the next little while is highly prevalent. We're just getting into a very dangerous time in terms of the way the global community is going to start interacting together. So I guess to round it off and because I don't want to get too far off topic with the Iranian stuff, because I know nothing about global politics or wartime thinking, is that YouTube and Google are focusing on how it is they distribute content to not just bolster engagement through clickbait titles and ideas. Like you got to imagine that one of the reasons why Trump got voted in is because people were angry and confused, and the angry and confused people just wanted to watch more videos about angry and confusing topics, and they just fell down that rabbit hole, and it created an echo chamber. And we see that on Facebook too. So I think this the algorithm changes are probably in somewhat of a positive, but at the same point, we know that censorship and removing the platform for what it was, where you would normally see, like, I don't see any of the commentators aside from the Daily Show with Trevor Noah that I would normally have watched. Like, I really liked Philip DeFranco would normally be at the top talking about something that had happened, and they're not there anymore. And it's sad to see that this has happened to YouTube. But also at the same point, it makes sense. Like this all makes sense because they have to be regulated by the governing bodies that we consider our governments at the moment. Hey, Tone, I got a question. Do you want to quickly go over what we think content creators can do, or should we rant about Bitcoin's price movement the last few days? And is it related?
Well, actually, let's do both. Let's talk about the first one first, about what content creators can do.
Nice.
I just want to, I was going to say something right before. Oh, I was going to say, okay, one last comment. So my YouTube channel is listed as science and technology because they don't actually have a finance section. Now, YouTube does have a news section. Like back when we were on the World Crypto Network, we wanted, because that was a news channel for crypto, but we could not list it as a news channel because it required special approval from YouTube to classify your YouTube channel as news. And World Crypto Network could not get that approval. So that also goes into this barrier to entry to be listed as a news channel to not show up in these searches. So there's more intricacies in there that most people aren't even aware of.
Yeah, it's we're in uncharted territory now, and apparently every field of life.
All right, so let's recap. I think we covered all of the 4 issues in this channel about YouTube having the ability to remove channels if they feel they're not commercially viable. YouTube banning, content cop was like a specific video, but basically if you criticize a little too much to their liking, you can get your YouTube channel banned. The COPPA laws on child protection for 13 and under, still unclear what's going on in that 14-year-old range. Hopefully there'll be more clarity in that zone. And finally, the harmful and dangerous content. I think that one affected the algo the most. And I agree with you, Tai. It wasn't, the algo did exactly what it was supposed to do. And I think because it affected the crypto space in general, more so than any other, content niche on YouTube, the YouTube, programmers and their PR guys, they will take a look at the crypto space and they're going to find out that the algo did exactly what it was supposed to do. By percentage, the crypto space probably has the most egregious and the biggest violations against their terms of service as a whole. And but they will adjust, and a lot of these things, like, look, I've had I got a strike once and I got it back. I went to go live with Craig Wright, and the fake Satoshi. And the title of the video had the word hard fork in it, which I'm never going to put again into the title of my video, mostly because I think the algo misread what hard fork means and, prevented me from live streaming that episode. I had to do an interview offline and then upload it, right? So, look, I put in a, I complained about it. They looked at it, they fixed it, they gave me back my ability to live stream. But yeah, it's something that we have to deal with. So let's talk about what content creators can do. And then I'll be critical if one of you suggests something like DTube or some other crypto project that has a scam coin in it. Go, Theo, you're first.
No, I think that's a great place to start. Are there other alternatives and ways to be, sharing content? And first off, yeah, I mean, personally, I try to share my content on every platform that's available. You have things like Restream, where you can automatically upload to Periscope, to YouTube, to Facebook, and you can have your content saved in multiple places. But as we were talking about before, one of the really big hurdles here is YouTube has created such a big gap in between itself and other real competitors like Twitch, because it's not just about having my content decentralized, which in itself, none of these decentralized content companies are going to be even close to be able to do. I mean, the closest thing we had was BitTorrents, where you could have a seeding and sharing capability for content around the globe, so no one was actually holding it. And we've had decentralized content distribution services already set up. I mean, the real pushback here is, well, do you have your own website? Do you have your own mailing list? Do you have
the business model of downloading everything first has failed, right? This is why Netflix is popular, and the music, the music streaming sites, and no one, like BitTorrent died, right? I know it died. A scam coin bought them, so no one's downloading content anymore, and data storage is really expensive. So that's not going to fly.
Yeah, I agree. There's no real alternative for decentralizing the content. Not that we've seen any viable representation of it yet. Even the potential competitors for YouTube, like Vimeo, like Twitch, like Instagram stories, they just don't function the same. I mean, even trying to do an Instagram phone call or a Facebook phone call versus live streaming on YouTube, the quality is atrocious in comparison. So there is no real alternatives aside from really buffering yourself and producing your content, saving it in as many places as you can, and then building a community that you can reach through whether it's your private newsletters or your free newsletters, your Patreon, or whatever it might be, and really trying to buffer what would happen if you did lose your YouTube account based off something that you did wrong. How do you maintain the community, and how do you stay in communications is really the only line of defense that we have, because there is no viable opportunity for a decentralized video production that I've seen, and they're nothing close, at least.
And I don't even think it's possible. I mean, someone still has to store all that footage, and it's going to be a centralized company. And if that centralized company that claims to be decentralized, gets pressure from the regulators, from a government entity, it's going to be the same thing. They're not going to be better than YouTube. There is nothing decentralized about Steemit. It is even more centralized than Google and YouTube, because they don't have to follow any laws and regulations at all, and they can ban your content at will, because there's no mechanism in these so-called blockchains that prevents the admins of these companies deleting your content. At least if YouTube starts deleting your content, because they want to, you have some kind of, you can fight them. They're a corporation. You at least have a claim to get your content back, because they are, they do have to follow a legal structure, but not these, crypto companies. Steemit can delete all of the content on there, and there's nothing you can do about it because they don't care.
Yeah. So you know what? Whenever somebody makes an argument for decentralized video streaming or decentralized content creation platform, I don't even go into the decentralization argument or debate. I'm not even going to go there. What I want to know is, who is storing all the video? because if you show me
Probably Amazon.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
probably
like,
the Amazon servers.
yeah, like who is storing all the videos? Like you show me a decentralized network, and the first question I don't give a shit about the decentralization. I want to know who is storing where is the video being stored at, because somebody has to pay for that. You know, because the amount of videos, the amount of 4K videos that I put out each week, I can easily fill up anyone's computer within like a week. so you can say all this decentralization stuff. That sounds really good in theory, but it still boils down to who's paying for the servers. Who is paying for the servers?
And what happens when they miss the payment bill?
Yeah, exactly. It just
what happens when their shitcoin goes to zero and they can no longer afford the bill to store the videos?
To me, I don't even care about the coin or the token they use on their platform. All I care about is who is storing the videos, who's paying for it, who is paying for someone to store all that video content, all that video data. And it's a tremendous amount of data. And what happens is people that don't produce content, they don't realize how much data that people like us put out each week. Like just, you know, I got 32 terabytes of hard drive space, right? And my suggestion is this is what I'm using, and whoever's listening out there that's a content creator, this is what I would recommend. The number one thing that you have to focus on is controlling your own content and controlling and storing. You have responsibility for the content you produce and your followers and your viewers. You owe it to them to be able to contact them. So you have almost 100,000 followers, Tone, right? Yeah. It's your responsibility to keep in touch with them, and it's your responsibility not to lose contact with them. So for me, I would keep a mailing list, because right now everyone is using YouTube as the host of to store their video, the storage space for their video, and they're also using YouTube as the mailing list. Basically, every time you upload a video, YouTube notifies your followers that you have a new video and they come watch it. On our system, we pay a monthly service. We pay about $300 a month for Infusionsoft, which is a customer relationship management database. It's just a fancy name for a place where you store the names or of all your viewers and your subscribers. So we keep it on there, and then and it allows us to send out thousands of emails each month without being accused of being a spammer. So we can send to our list of thousands of emails each month. Every time we come out with a new video, we just send it to them, right? And if you want to see what it looks like, you can go to www.cryptocurrency.market/newsletter, and then you can sign up there, and you can see what it looks like, right? And so that's how we maintain control of our yeah. If you just go to, instead of Blueprint, just put in newsletter at the top in the URL, right? And then you just, and that's where we tell all our subscribers to go to, so that they can subscribe to our channel. Okay.
Yeah, no, if I start notifying by email for every video I do, I will call myself a spammer.
yeah. So just so you know, so by law, like YouTube, like Google and everybody will let you send emails out to like maybe a few dozen people at a time, maybe 100, 200 at most. You're not gonna be able to send out emails to like 1,000 or 10,000 people all at once, right? So like when we pay for the email service, what it does is it requires you to confirm. Like when you put your name and email in there, right? The system will send you another email saying, hey, you got to confirm, a second time to make sure that you really want to receive newsletters from Tai. And then once you get there, right, and you confirm it, then after that, what it does is it puts your email address on what's called a whitelisted server, right? So that server is already registered with Google, with Yahoo Mail, with Gmail, with all the email services to let people so that when I send emails, it doesn't go into the spam box.
Yeah, so we use a similar CRM for our management tool to Infusionsoft. And Tone, I think you already triggered it, but earlier when you scrolled down, it just brought up this automatic pop-up to sign up to a newsletter, enter your name and your email, and then when you sign up, it gets you to verify. But also, when you send out these emails through these whether they're a whitelisted server or a CRM that follows the laws, it's a whole nother set of rules and regulations for spam. And often the CRM or the management tool will actually check the email to make sure that it's not spammy, that it doesn't have any outbound links that are blacklisted, etc. And then once it checks it, it will send it out in like 10 to 100 emails at a time to make sure. And then right in there as well, they have to follow the laws where you can click, I unsubscribe from this newsletter, and then it automatically unsubscribes them from the list.
Yeah.
So it's you're still dealing with laws in terms of anti-spam and anti-privacy or privacy laws, but it's just a much easier way to really manage and keep track. And again, to own your relationship with your community. I mean, we've got around 4,600 people on our newsletter or whatever. And every time I send a message out, those people will always get that. There's nothing YouTube or Google can do to stop that, essentially. So the best.
Oh, sorry, go on.
It's just the best buffers are to create those channels to communicate with your audience in whichever way is possible. Telegram has been another really fun way to kind of have a group of people where you can just chat. I mean, even the private group that we all started to talk about this ban, that's another way where we built our little community to maintain our communications in whatever way everyone's comfortable with. The newsletter is definitely old fashioned, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, and so in addition to maintaining your own mailing list so that you can have direct communication with your viewers and subscribers without YouTube interfering with it or Facebook interfering with it, I also think it's important that you back up all your videos. Okay, so we use a NAS drive, okay, a 32 terabyte NAS drive, and we store everything on there. So just, whenever we have videos, we upload one copy to YouTube, and then we transfer and save it on a NAS drive, on a 32 terabyte NAS drive, and we do that. And then we also back that up, so we have 2 copies of it. And then if you guys don't want to run a NAS drive and you have a small amount of content, you can start out by storing it on the Amazon Glacier, right? Amazon's AWS service, they have what's called the Glacier, which means that you can upload it there for free, I think, and then you just download whatever, and they charge you by the download. Okay, so that's another place that you can store your content is at Amazon Glacier, and then but that's for long-term storage. Like if you don't plan on going back and forth to that a lot, okay. They also have another.
I wanted to give a shout out for Tone for the Unconfiscatable and the financial conference, because a lot of it's just about building the community and finding ways to communicate with people and share the stories, whether it's in an email inbox or starting a conference where we can get together face to face. I think a lot of this comes down to the same story. We're building lines of communication with one another, and the important part, whether it's digital or whether it's in person, is that these are ways that we can not have to be totally reliant upon Google and YouTube for the work that we do by creating our supporting our own communities and ecosystems.
Yeah.
No, thanks for that.
Yeah, and you can also pay for to store your videos on to archive them at Vimeo also, So that's just things that that I would recommend that people do,
All right, guys, we do have to wrap this up. We've already been on for over 2 hours. I want you guys to mention one more time what you guys do, and I guess we'll indirectly promote your site. We got a couple of questions for you, Tai, as well about the services that you're doing. And then if you guys want to stick around for about 10 minutes, since both of you are also traders, we can take a glance at the price of Bitcoin. But I guess we'll start with you, Tai. Tai Zen's and Leon Fu, you guys work together. Your Twitter handle is in the video description. But briefly tell us about cryptocurrency market. I will say that, look, I've met Tai a couple of times. We've had some chats. He was a trader before crypto, and he was teaching trading before crypto. He just, like myself, found a niche in this space where there wasn't a lot of professional trading educators in the space, and we both took the opportunity for this. He does the same thing that I do, teaches people how to trade. I have not yet had a chance, because I'm busy as well, to look at his educational videos, but I promise I will, guys. I'll try to get, I'll see, maybe I can get Tai to come out to the financial summit in Bali, which focuses in this arena. But Tai, you're similar to me. We're getting a lot of people talking about Factum. I'm not sure what your relationship with Factum was. Maybe you can briefly mention it.
Our team, Factum was one of the early trades that we did. And if you go to back to the cryptocurrency.market /blueprint, right? You'll see it in there. So Factum is a company out of Austin, Texas, and our team bought some shares in their company, and our team also invested into their tokens. So we traded their tokens. If you come down, I think, no, it's at the top. Well, yeah, right there. So right there, you know, right there, why we talked about, you know, right there, why we believe Factum is worth over 50 million market cap, right there. So if you look at it, we made that prediction video. We invested into their tokens when it was around $1, in the low $1, and it went to as high as $78 on January 9th, 2018. So that was about a 65x growth right there. So that was a good chunk of profits for our team. So that's why you hear a lot of people talking about it, because we were one of the first. On our channel, we document a lot of the big trades that we've made. So in that video right there, we talk about why we thought it was a good trade to invest into the token and the, just here's a quick lesson too, guys. Any company that offers you shares, to sell you shares of their company and tokens of their company, I would always go with the tokens. We learned the lesson from Factum and several other companies that we bought shares in, right? Like our team bought shares into the Exodus wallet also. So we were like one of the biggest, when they were selling shares of the Exodus wallet, we were one of the biggest, whatchamacallit, investors in it. So I think that some of the comments that the guys made about Factum, I guess they're not traders, they're not investors, so I don't know what they did on it.
Well, I consider trading and investing different. I consider investing in Factum is buying their shares. Trading.
Yeah, we invested into our team invested into shares of the company that makes the Factum token, and then our team also traded the tokens that they have on their network.
Right. So it looks like the Factum token is down almost to approximately $1, where you guys as a company recommended the trade. You guys, so the viewers of the crypto YouTube viewers, they sometimes have a misunderstanding between an investment and a trade. Though I have to be honest with you, Tai, you did not do a very good job interchanging those words at the moment. So let's be a little more careful on using the terms investing and trading. Like I consider Tesla to be both investable and tradable. But anything in the crypto space other than Bitcoin, like Bitcoin, I consider investable and tradable. Everything other than Bitcoin, I only consider tradable, not investable. On the flip side, something like Tether, I only consider Tether as investable, not tradable. Now, you're going to laugh at me and say, well, how can you invest in Tether? It could be faked or whatever. Well, that's up to you to do your fundamental analysis. But Tether is designed to trade one-to-one. So there's no point of trading Tether. Your only decision is to whether you want to invest in Tether or not by, keeping a one-to-one peg to the dollar. So there is a huge distinction between a trade and an investment. And I have zero problem with anyone recommending a trade of any shitcoin. It's all about, turning your Twitter handle into a Factum handle and talking about Factum as an investment for the long term and how they're going to take over content storage or whatever their latest pivot is.
Yeah, I agree with you on the trading and the investing terminology there. Yes, I agree with you that Tesla is something that is tradable and something that can be invested for long term. And some of these coins, we're traders. Like I used to work for a trading school in the US, like the biggest trading school there. And we tried to get them. I mean, we would go around, and every week I would be in a different city teaching and coaching people how to trade. And at that time, when Bitcoin came along since 2013, I kept telling them, hey man, we need to have a course, because we have a course to teach you how to trade stocks, futures, Forex, and options, but we didn't have a course to teach people how to trade Bitcoin. At that time, when I was telling them, hey man, the executives of the school, that we need to come out with a Bitcoin trading course or a cryptocurrency trading course, they all looked at me and laughed and said I was freaking retarded. I mean, they didn't say that in face, but they would, I remember one of the guys would record me when I was telling him about Bitcoins, and he would get the phone, his iPhone out, and he goes, okay, go ahead and tell me about that Bitcoin stuff again. And he would record me, and then he goes, okay, hold on, let's play it back, and let's look at how stupid you look and sound. Okay, right? You want us to teach people, managing their retirement accounts and 401k accounts, how to do what with this Bitcoin bullshit, right? And that was like around 2013, 2014. Needless to say, that same person came back and asked me how to invest and trade Bitcoin, several years later. But our team got tired of it. And
but hey, look, it got you to quit that job and start your own crypto trading company.
Well, the trading profits got me to quit that job, not the that idea. And then after we quit, right? One of the things I wanted to do was when I worked at the trading school, I knew that if you give money to someone that does not know how to trade, invest, and manage money, they're going to lose it all. So what happened was several factors that came online, and I kept throughout my life, while making money, I kept thinking like, how do I teach my kids? How do I pass on my wealth to my kids? Because I'm the first generation wealth in my family. So how do we pass it on? And what Leon and I, my business partner in that picture right there with the Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington.
Yeah. Oh, I gave that guy a lot of shit. I don't know if you saw that video. He did a presentation about blockchains, and he knew absolutely nothing. And I came up to him after, and I basically embarrassed him in his understanding. And someone had a cell phone, and they kind of periscoped it, and that video went somewhat. I'm not gonna. Not viral, but it was pretty. Most people in the crypto space watched it and had a good laugh.
Yeah. If you watch this video, whenever you get a chance offline, you can see he's asking us the right questions to learn more about crypto. So I don't know if what happened with you and him happened after this or before this.
It probably happened. I'm assuming it happened after, because he was promoting some very scammy ICOs on stage.
Okay. Well, we told him, that if he had questions about a coin, or if it was, what it was about, to get in touch with us, he didn't. So. But anyway, we went out and we started this. We created we got a lot of people asking us, just like a lot of people were asking you to train them in person, and you have that financial summit. So we started this cryptocurrency investing boot camp to teach our viewers how to trade and invest in crypto, right? But a lot of the people that wanted to come could not get visas, and for travel reasons could not come into the U.S. to it. So we recorded the entire event, and we offer it as the cryptocurrency investing blueprint. So that's the only two products that we have is the cryptocurrency investing bootcamp, which I'm not sure when we'll do the next one, right? Because we're busy building trading software right now. And then right now, if somebody wants to learn how our team trades and how we, made enough money to be able to retire early, then they can get a copy of our cryptocurrency investing blueprint,
Yeah,
So-
I mean, like even people like myself get a lot of shit for teaching people how to trade. People see that as a scammy practice that encourages trading. My best answer.
Here's
Yeah.
one thing I share with people all the time, and a lot of my students have shared with me. I'm sure it's the same with your students, your trading students also. There's two tuitions that people have to pay for in the markets to learn how to become a successful trader and investor, okay? And the first one that everyone knows is money. Like, you pay for the course, for the cryptocurrency investing blueprint, or they pay for the financial summit, or whatever course that they decide to do, right? And then the second one is what I call a market tuition. After you learn that, then you still gotta go out there and do it, right? And the difference is by being educated, whether they attend, they take your trading course or my trading course, or, T-Ho's trading course, if he has one, then what that does, it's you get to learn from the experience of others to reduce the amount of money that you lose in the markets. There's no guarantee that you won't lose money, but man, if you just show me how to use, like the way that we set up our security with the hardware wallets and the way we protect our seeds and everything, like we've had so many students that tell us, just the computer security portion alone was worth the cost of the blueprint for them to be able to know that they're securely protecting their 7, 8, and 9-figure portfolios, And speaking of 7, 8, or 9-figure portfolios, I mean, like, if you have a 7, 8, or 9-figure portfolio, like, who in the world, where would you go to learn how to manage that? Where would you go to learn how to secure that? Where would you go? Like, who out there?
Well, generally the people that have portfolios like that have earned their way to the top. So
Yeah.
there's nowhere to go to learn from unless you get a mentor that's somewhere around 70. Like
Yeah.
I have a few friends that have a few $100 million, and they're pretty good with they're pretty good with the money. There's no course on that management aside from being able to earn your way through the levels. And well, definitely agree here is that trading it's like learning how to be a professional snowboarder or something. You're going to get beat up along the way if you really want to be good at what you do.
I have a more like a cleaner analogy for this. When people, accuse trading educators on, being harmful, I take it back to, one of the most dangerous things you can do is be in a car. Like most people, die in car accidents. That's like the most common thing. We still have driving instructors, right? Why do we have driving instructors? There's a driving instructor that will, keep you alive. They will teach you, whether it's your parent or whether it's someone, right? Like if you're growing up an orphan, how are you going to learn how to drive? You can get behind the car without any expertise, without having by watching maybe YouTube videos, and then you get behind a car, and what do you think is going to happen? Like you have to learn how to drive at some point if you're going to drive a car. Now you can learn from a very bad instructor, and that can potentially get you killed. You could also learn it yourself, and you can be fine. But this concept that doing educational courses and teaching people how to be responsible traders, it doesn't mean you're not going to lose your money. Just like if someone teaches you how to drive does not mean you can't get into a car accident.
Yeah. Yeah, when I went to learn how to drive for the first time, I went to a driving school. When I went to learn how to drive a motorcycle, I went to a driving school. When I went to learn how to fly an airplane, I went to a National Guard flight instructor, and he was teaching me. So if you want to know what the difference is, come to Vietnam and watch traffic. You'll notice a lot of the rich people here that drive the cars, they just bribe their way or pay for their license without ever taking a class. And there's a significant difference in the quality of their driving versus someone in the US who drives the same car and that has went to driving school. There's a night and day difference.
Yeah, if you've never been to Vietnam before, just go there and figure out how to cross the street, because you guys don't have traffic lights, and everyone's on a motorbike. And Thailand, I was in Thailand, and one of my friends picked me up from the airport in his car, and he was telling me a story how about 10 years ago or something, that basically the Thai government wanted to increase the economy of the country by having more car presence in the country. So what did they do? They just handed out everybody driving licenses without having any regulation or any requirement to show proficiency in driving. They were basically giving away licenses and making cars cheaper just so there could be more cars so they can build more roads. How do you think that ended?
Yeah. So that's you were asking us about, the products and service we have. Those are the only products we have, is the cryptocurrency investing blueprint, which just shares everything that we have ever done.
And your stuff is not cheap, guys. My stuff is cheap. If you think the financial summit at $9,000 for a week and an exclusive resort's expensive, let's hear Tai say how much you guys charge.
Yeah, we charge the tuition to attend one of our cryptocurrency investing boot camp is $25,000 per person, and we provide them with 2 laptops, 2 Dell laptops, one for staking, one for trading, and we provide all the hardware wallets, all the training, and then we also follow up with each of our students for a year. So as they're managing their portfolios, if they have any questions, they can reach out to us. They can call me directly. And, I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm not licensed to give financial advice. So just to make that clear. But if you ask me what I did in that situation, then I will share with you what me and my team did. Like if you ask us, hey, how did you guys, unload $1 million worth of Bitcoin or Ethereum or any coin, then I can share with you what I did to unload it. Or if I need to buy it.
When did you guys get out of the Factum trade?
We got out of the Factum trade. I got out of it in 2017.
Near the top?
No, well, whenever we have a move, like if you go down to the bottom of that, the way that we trade, we are trend traders. So our goal is to capture 2/3 of that trend. So if we got it from $1 to I sold a lot of mine. Everyone on our team bought and sold at, we bought pretty much around the same place, but we each sold at different places based on our personal financial needs and our goals. So if it's zoomed in too much, but okay, so just like around, like if you look at like around October 2017, okay, so if, let's just say, for example, it's around $15 and it goes up to $80. So that's what, about
about 5x.
About a $65 move. Then our goal is to capture about 2/3 of that.
So, okay, so I'm just curious, so you got in about $1. When did you yourself get out?
I got out before, like on that run up in June, I think. It's been so long.
Yeah. Oh, so you got out on like this run up to $30.
Yeah, I got out on that run up because I wanted to buy other coins that I saw.
Did you ever get back into Factum as a trade in the token?
No, because I mean, I usually, it's, let me see. No, it's like a lot of the top 10 coins, I would get back into it, with the exception of Bitcoin. But most of my trades, me personally, when I get into it, after I make a big chunk of profits on it, then I move on and look for a new coin that has potential to have a big move. Like for example, like lately I've been talking about Tezos and about energy, crypto. And a lot of people complain because I don't talk about Dash. And I believe that Dash already had its heyday. It's already had, from a trading perspective, it's already had its heyday. So I don't need to chase after something that's already had its 15 minutes of fame. I want to find a new coin that hasn't had that 15 minutes of fame or that, big move yet, and get into it early so that I can trade it. And then when it starts to make that move, then I'll start selling and taking profits. So Tezos, the ICO price of Tezos was around 42 cents. Right now it's around $1, a low $1 amount. So it hasn't had a big move yet. it hasn't had its 10, 20, 30, 40x move yet. So I'd rather put my money into that versus Dash, where I know that Dash already had that move.
Yeah, we actually had a presentation about this from Da Vinci at the Financial Summit in Bali, and he talked about his strategy and how he's invested in 300 altcoins right now and why he's holding them. It was actually a very interesting presentation. I found it.
How many did you say? How many?
300.
I can tell you that mathematically, that's not necessary.
It was a good presentation. I'll shoot it to you. We did record it. It's for it was private for the people that attended. Okay, so one last question on Factom. So this is the trade part of Factom, but like you said, you guys also invested in the Factom, the company. And are you still holding that investment, or you got out of that one as well?
Yeah. All the stocks that our team bought in different companies, we still hold every one of them. We haven't, because there's no way to sell it. And that's why I'm telling people, don't trap your money. When you're first starting out and you have a small amount of money, do not trap that money into a coin, a token, or an investment where you cannot liquidate it. When you have very little money, you want to be flexible. You want to be able to get in and out and move on to the next one. If you make a mistake, move on and be able to get out of it and move on to the next one, right? And quick. Because we got I estimate from a trading perspective, we have like a 3 to 5 year boom in this crypto market before, it starts to normalize and stabilize like the Forex and the stock market, and you won't have these crazy ass returns anymore. So you have to be able, when you have a small amount of money, you want to be flexible. Like, don't listen to me and say, and hear me say that I'm investing into the equity of this company, and then you do the same thing, because you might not have the extra cash to do that. Like when your portfolio gets into the 7, 8, 9 figure range, then you have a lot of extra capital to where you can say, hey, let me try a little bit of this in this company. Let me buy a little stock in this company in case it ever hits big, But when you're starting out with like $5, $10, $20,000 or a small amount like that, then you need to be focused on getting into a coin or a project that has the biggest potential for an up move, right? So like a lot of people jump on my ass because, I don't have any Bitcoins right now. But in my opinion, I've been here since 2012, right? And if you ask me, hey, if I think, am I willing to bet that Bitcoin will 10x before something like, let's say, Tezos 10x? I'm gonna have to make the bet on Tezos before I make the bet on Bitcoin, right? If you ask me, hey, Tai, long term, 50 years from now, do you think that Bitcoin will still be here, or another altcoin will still be here? I'm obviously, I'm not freaking retarded. I'm going to say, Bitcoin. But from a trading perspective, right now, when I know that, when I believe that we have another 3 to 5 years before this cools down, right? I want to make sure that I take advantage of that. Maybe.
Yeah, and I see nothing wrong with that, and people also have to understand between you as a company announcing and disclaiming the fact that you as a company invested in the equity of Factom is different than you actually recommending everyone go out and buy Factom shares.
We don't recommend shit to anybody. You don't ever find any videos of me recommending shit, because I'm not a licensed financial advisor in the US, so why would I recommend shit, right? I only share what I do. Hey, I'm buying this, I'm selling this, right? Hey, I think this is a good thing, but I never open my mouth and say, hey man, I recommend that you buy this. The only thing I recommend is people buy our cryptocurrency investing blueprint so they can get educated and learn how to secure their coins, learn how to analyze the coins, do their due diligence, learn how to know which one. The only thing I recommend is people get educated, whether it's from me, whether it's from Tiho, whether it's from you, from somebody that has experience in this cryptocurrency market, right? That's what I recommend, but I don't recommend people buy any coins or sell any coins or do anything, because I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and people should not listen to me for financial advice. I mean, I don't know how many times I've said that,
Yeah, I don't know. I deal with the same stuff. I deal with the same thing all the time. Welcome to the life of doing the kind of things that we do. All right, Tiho, quick description of yourself, and then we're gonna go take a look at the price of Bitcoin. Something should have been done 20 minutes ago, but let's do it.
Well, so my mentors focused on something called conscious capitalism, or what they call sacred capitalism. They've done billions and billions of dollars in revenue in their tenure. They've started brands that probably everyone would recognize, their household names. I won't go too much into that, but my focus in the space and what I do with my newsletter, aside from helping people just generally understand how to manage a portfolio and the innumerable amounts of ways there are to invest in digital assets, not just things like Bitcoin. For instance, when I first started, I was working in the affiliate marketing space. And you can buy websites that produce $50,000 to $60,000 a month in profit, and they're going to cost you $1 million. And you can buy websites that produce $3,000 to $5,000 a month in profit, and they're going to cost you $200,000 to $300,000. These are basically like buying different types of real estate on the internet, and they produce consistent revenues and profits. So often what I do with our newsletter is we don't have any crazy prices. We just charge a flat fee. I think we're gonna up. It's about $90 now. But it's just my general outlook on all the different markets I've seen evolve since I've started investing. I mean, the first company I started, I think we did like $8 million in revenue our first year. So I'm not new to the game of investing, whether it's in equity, in Bitcoin, or stocks. But I think what generally I found most interesting was that the people that are attracted to the same ideas like I am, I'm a fairly abstract person. I'm much more likely to be interested in pineapples on my particular day. The point is, like, I don't actually think I'm on Ty's side here, which is we never offer anyone advice. We just offer our own insights to what I've been through in life. I think most people don't have a general investment philosophy. You know, I was reading this great article by Fidelity recently, and whether you buy at the all-time lows or the all-time highs, if you have an investment plan where you just keep investing into things you're interested in, over the course of a decade, you've done really well for yourself. So I don't suggest anyone sign up for our newsletter. I hate people thinking that they can get rich quick idea coming out of anything that they pay for. I mean, there's innumerable ways to invest your money. So from what we've created with the Bear family, we just try to get people to focus on what interests them the most and what moves them and what makes them passionate, because they're most likely to be long-term successful by focusing on the things that they're interested in the long term. I'll leave it at that. I first started.
Why the bear? I mean, I've been a bear on the price of Bitcoin for 2 years. Everyone is like, call me a perpetual bear forever. Well, I won't be. I'll turn into a bull. So why Arcane Bear?
Oh, first off, I want to reply to someone here in the comments. Rad Vladdy obviously doesn't know what affiliate marketing is. So for instance, I own websites right now that like rank best 4K camera, and we make a few $1,000s a month from helping people understand which 4K cameras we think are the best. Affiliate marketing is not scam in any way, shape, or form.
People confuse affiliate marketing with multi-level marketing.
Yeah, I agree. And that just shows the common misunderstanding that people have in every field of business. So why did I pick the Arcane Bear? That's a twofold question. First off, I thought we were going to be a mostly focused podcast. As you can see from the channel, we have PhDs from physics. We've had astrophysicists, plasma physicists. We've had people that have worked in the Department of Defense and NASA, from theoretical to practical physics, come on the show. And because I thought we were going to be a podcast, I picked the first letter in the English thesaurus that started with the letter A, that happened to be in the niche, which is arcane, something mysterious. Because I thought we were going to be doing mostly abstract podcasts, and iTunes always alphabetically organizes podcasts. I was like, we'll start with the letter A. And then Arcane Bear was just, I've always really liked the bear. You know, growing up in Canada, it's an animal that knows how to save and forage through the winter. It's an animal that knows how to provide for its family. It knows how to stick up for its family as well. So I like the general sentiments of the animal. I wasn't really focused on market connotations, although I did use it also because of this. Everyone gets excited about the bulls, but it's the bears who really know how to play the game, because they're the ones who always withstand the market, no matter which direction it goes.
Good point. And your crypto trading videos are all down as long as others. That was self-doing, or did you get banned and still banned?
No, my videos are all I never got hit. Oddly enough, I was really excited about that. Again, as you can see, like conscious capitalism podcast, like Thomas Campbell.
You have a crypto trading playlist with 126 videos, but none of them are available. So you took this down?
Oh yeah. So what I ended up doing, yeah. Thanks for pointing that out. I actually forgot that playlist was still there. I meant to delete the playlist as well. I just wanted to go through and clean up the channel. Most of what I wanted to stay focused on is educational or valuable content. Like there's just such a mixed bag of stuff there. In one of those videos, I'm trying to compare blockchain to consciousness. So it's like, it's a really kind of avant-garde focus. So when I went through, I cleaned up. At that same time, I deleted a bunch of videos, and the crypto trading had a bunch of stuff. When we bought ant shares back when it was 12 cents or 13 cents back in 2000, like April of 2017 or something. And there's a bunch of videos I just didn't feel were relevant anymore, so I made them private. I didn't want to get hit by accident either for anything that might be considered harmful or dangerous content.
All right, guys, let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin. I will plug Unconfiscatable one more time in Vegas. Not sure if either of you can make that, but we'll definitely talk about the financial summits, Dominican Republic and Bali. I think, Tiho, you might be closer to Dominican Republic, and Tai, you might be closer to Bali. So hopefully you guys can swing by.
I do both. I actually have been coming to Southeast Asia every year between August and January. It's like my favorite time to be here.
Awesome. And this is also affiliate marketing, goes through my website, tonevays.com. There are disclaimers to abide by the laws. So go ahead and check that out if you want to support. All right, let's look at the price. I have not looked at the price at all. During the morning, I usually glance at the price, but this morning it was all about the Ukrainian Airlines plane crash. I had no idea we have dropped from that $8,400 area, and we are back down to the $8,000 area. I mean, I always saw the current move as a bit of a dead cat bounce / bear market rally. I am looking at the daily chart here. I felt that if we broke this green line around 7,600, we have a high probability chance of making it to the next level of resistance. I had that resistance as the 128-day moving average in the $8,300 area. You can even see a video from my channel. If I go, to my channel, I should have just gone to the playlist.
It's on the right. It's on the top right.
Yeah, no, there's too many of them. If I just go to, I'm going to be on there's a interview with me later today. If I just go to the price list playlist, there's like way too many of them in there. And hopefully YouTube will load. You will see like 3 days ago, the title of my video, big pump. That was the pump to only 7,500 or so. And it's 8.3 thousand next. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for a rejection around this area. It looks like we are actually getting it. We will see what happens. If Bitcoin can only fall to the $7,600 area and bounce, we can certainly go back to 8,500 and potentially higher. I still see this as a bear market from the $14,000 high. And I still think there is a greater than 50% chance we fall below the $6,500 low before the halving. Let me get your take, guys. I'm gonna, those are my more slightly intermediate term views. Who wants to go first? Tai, why don't you go?
Am I able to share? Let me share the.
Yeah, if you want to share a screen, go for it. Let me cut my share.
Okay. Let me see here.
Try to share application so you don't dox anything instead of sharing monitor.
Yeah. It's my first time using Zoom, so let me see here. Share screen.
Yeah, share screen and then try to find the application you want to share.
Okay. Let me know when you can see the Bitcoin chart.
Yep, we got it.
Okay, so I'm looking at it like this. This is how I'm drawing my trend line, just from my experience in trading stocks and Forex, right? I'm not counting this high and this high because when I draw my trend lines, it's usually where the majority of it, where it touches the open.
I refer to this as best fit line. I do it all the time.
Yeah. So I call it majority touch, you know, so this is where the majority touches right here to the open, high, lows, close points. And in the intermediate term, I'm still bearish on this, okay? And let me just thicken this line so that it's easier to see. But on the long term, like I always like to zoom out to the long term, okay? And if we change this to a weekly chart, I'm looking at it like that, okay? So I still see Bitcoin as bullish, okay? And when it breaks the high at 20,000, I see it coming up to here. And this is on a arithmetic chart. It's not on a logarithmic chart. So I see that this is still coming down to somewhere in this area where it touches the trend line down here. And then once it breaks the intermediate short-term trend, then it has a chance to go up. And obviously it needs to break this high before it can reach the previous high or set new highs. So right now in the short term, I'm still a little slightly bearish on this, on Bitcoin, okay? And then that's what I'm looking at.
I'm looking at the same exact thing. And if I would have zoomed out my chart, you would have seen the same exact support trend line crossing in approximately the same area.
Yeah, so like on the when you asked earlier on that Factum trade, you were asking, you know, when did I get in, buy and sell? You know, our goal is whenever we trade, like say if it goes from here at the beginning of 2017, it was like around $1,000 for a Bitcoin, right? And it went up to 20,000, so there's like a $19,000 profit right there. So at that time, I did have some Bitcoins, and we started selling like right below 10,000, and we started selling all the way up. We started selling a little bit, going all the way up. If you remember when we met in that time we met in 2017, in May of 2017.
Yep, okay. It was right after the event, was right after consensus or right before,
It's actually this run up right here.
Yeah.
You know, if you remember, we did not meet for several days there. Like we met like on one day or something like that, and there's a couple of events there that we missed because me and Leon was busy in our hotels selling to take profits.
Yep.
And that's the problem with a lot of people is that whenever they have a chance to make life-changing money or life-changing profits, they don't sell to take the profits. It's only profit if you actually take it and put it in your bank account. And some people say, hey man, you know, like, I know some people like to value their wealth in how much Bitcoins they have, but where I live, I pay bills with US dollars. So I need the US dollars. So when it was running up that time when we met, the reason why I couldn't see you on most of the event was because me and Leon was busy in our hotel selling. Like we bought the events tickets already and we couldn't attend it. It was the event before the one that you and I went to. I forget what it was. But anyways, we would sell up in here. And same thing here. When this runs up, we're selling a little bit here, but the difference in us selling here versus selling over here was that when we were selling here, we were doing to rebalance our portfolio, okay? So when you're trading a 7, 8, 9-figure portfolio, you're not able to easily just get in and out of the markets very easily. It takes time to slowly get into the markets. Like if we need to buy $1 million worth of a coin or even $100,000 worth of a coin, we have to slowly buy into it. It's not something we just go in there. A lot of people think you just go in there and just click a button and just buy $100,000 worth of Bitcoins or Ethers or Teslas or something like that. That's not how it works. You know, it takes time. Like, and like, for example, like, if you don't mind, let me pull up this chart here. And just full disclosure.
I was gonna say real quick, what you just described in my education courses, that's my rule number 3 of trading. Do not let profitable trades become losing trades.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody tries to buy down here and sell up here. And I can tell you, you know, like when I was trading Forex, I used to average about 3,000 live trades a year. Okay. So that's a lot of trades. And I can tell you that if you ask, hey, Tai, did you ever buy way at the bottom down here and then sell way at the top? Yes, I did. Several times. maybe like 3-4 times out of like 3,000 trades. So statistically, the number of times that someone can buy down here and sell it up here is extremely low. But the number of times that somebody can capture half of this move or 1/3 of this move or 2/3 of this move, statistically, that's very, very high. Like if you told me, hey, Tai, out of 100 trades, I can capture half of this move right here when it goes from here all the way up to here, I would believe that. But if you said that, hey, out of 100 trades, I can get, 80, 70, 80 trades where I can buy down here and sell up here, I'm going to say you're full of shit. Because I've been around a lot of traders. I've been around a lot of good traders. I don't see any of them buying in down here and selling it here on a large percentage of the time. And then when you're when you're new, I recommend being a trend trader instead of a scalper. Like in Vietnam, we have the situation where a lot of people just buy in, and the minute it moves, $20, they're selling it. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like right now, Vietnam does not recognize crypto as an asset. So whenever they take profits, they don't have to pay taxes on it at the moment until the government recognizes it as an asset. But my point is that even if you're in the US, right, or in most Western countries, right, buying down here and selling right here, buying down here at 7,000 and selling at 8,000, and you think you made $1,000 profit. I mean, imagine how much taxes you got to pay on that. Short-term capital gains tax, and that's something that people don't even realize, man. So if you're gonna, my suggestion is that if I was starting out, notice that I'm not recommending anything. I'm just telling you what I would do, right? If I was a beginner and I just got into crypto today, I would buy for the long term. I would look to get from down here, right, up to here, and then get about, if you're a beginner and you get about 1/3 of this move, or even 30, 40% of this move, you're doing magnificent, man. Like you're doing amazingly well. And if you just continue to do that over and over, after several years, you will have a big enough portfolio to where you can retire early. But this cat and mouse game where everybody's trying to get in and out, in and out, in and out, I can assure you that most people that I've met in my life have not made more live trades than I have.
I haven't. I've never made that many trades. Even I had spent a few years as a day trader. I used to make, no, I don't know. I used to trade futures. I did trade, S&P 500 futures contracts daily. But I didn't like that lifestyle. I didn't like that style of trading. I now prefer, if I can make 10 good trades a day, a year, and 8 of them are profitable, I'm happy.
Yeah, but if you're managing a 7, 8, 9-figure portfolio, you don't have a choice. You have to make longer trades. Yeah. You don't have a choice. Yeah. These guys that tell me that they can click a button and buy $1 million worth of crypto, I'm like, what exchange are you using? Tell me, man. I mean, how are you doing that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of bullshit out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullshit. And that's like one of the first questions I ask whenever somebody asks like a hotshot trader. I just simply ask him, man, how do you buy $1 million worth of crypto? And what's the spread? How much money, if I buy $1 million worth of Bitcoins, how much, am I going to lose? If the price is $8,050 right now, how much can I expect to pay for that? I'm not going to get $8,050. I'll tell you that.
All right. You want to show another chart, or we'll?
Yeah. So I want to show this just so people can see it too, because a lot of people have been bugging me about this. So something like Tezos right here, right? It hasn't had a big move yet. Right? The dotted line is where I bought in at. Is my average price. So I bought some when it's up here. I bought some when it's down here. I bought some when it's up here. I bought some when it's down here. Bought some when it's up here. Bought some when it's down here. Right? So this hasn't had a big move yet. And the minute that it has a big move, I expect, 5x, 10x, 20x out of this. Right? So, and a lot of people don't realize how institutions work, because Tezos does a lot of staking, and it's like one of the biggest staked coins out there. Now, whether you believe in staking or not, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is that you understand what's happening, the fundamentals behind what's happening to this coin is that over 70% of it is being staked. That means it's locked up. It's not being used because they have to use it for staking. So Coinbase is people are giving Coinbase, I think, around $21 million. And in order for you to stake $21 million worth of Tezos, you need about 10%. It's close somewhere around 10% collateral. So that the system punishes you. You have to put up collateral to stake this coin. And if you don't have the collateral for it, then you can't stake that much coin. And the last time I checked, they had about 600,000 coins. Well, just do the math. 21 million Tezos that they need to stake. They need 2.1 million Tezos tokens, and they only have 600,000. So they got to go out to the market and buy enough to be able to stake all the customers' coins. And because of that, what happens is the way the big institutions get their coins is they do what's called what I call a clamp down on price. So they clamp down, they'll hire somebody to come in and buy those tokens for them. And they'll say, hey man, we like to get the tokens at an average of like $1.50 or $2. So what happens is the market maker or whoever, the trader that comes in there, they'll have X amount of money and they'll push the price down. And the minute they start pushing it down, it starts to crash. And people get panic and they sell it. And then the market makers or the traders, they'll buy it up for the institutions. And then the minute it goes up, they'll sell it again and then it crashes, right? So that they can get what's called a VWAP order. It's called a volume weighted average price. So they might have to get 1 million tokens for their customer and they have to keep pushing price up and down like that just to get an average price. So the bigger your portfolio gets, the more you have to think of averages and not just a set price. So like when I was trading like $1,000 portfolio, right? I can just say, okay, I want the price at, $1.30 or $1 or $1.50. I can get the exact price I want. But then when I get to 10,000, I can still get the exact price I want. But when I get to like $100,000, I cannot get that no more. At $50,000 or $100,000, I have to say to myself that, hey, I'm happy with getting an average price of $1.26 or $1.20 or $1.50. Okay. And then if your portfolio gets even bigger, right, then it gets even more averages. So you're just talking about averages. Okay. So that's what I want to share with people so that whenever they see the price and it's just going sideways, right? There's a reason for that. There's guys that are way bigger traders than you that's trying to buy and sell and get an average price for something. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to deal with something in the live chat. Look, guys, I'm not into the censorship game of people. We have Trayvon James watching our channel and commenting. I, of course, know the history of Trayvon James, but he's welcome to watch the channel. He's welcome to participate in the live chat. So I don't see a reason to ban his comments unless the comment itself is somehow offensive or the comment itself is scammy. So I'm not into the censorship game just because someone doesn't like another person. I mean, even if you are, it's the banning of certain comments are if they're inappropriate or they're bad. But if you just want to say hi and you want to put in a smiley face in a live chat, that should not deserve a ban.
Yeah, but people need to stop, talking, we're about, like letting the opinions of other people get to them, man. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions. Stop being a little fucking bitch whenever somebody else has a different opinion than you do. That's what I would say, man, to a lot of people in crypto, man. Fucking man up, man, grow up. Everybody has their own opinions, Some opinions are good, some opinions you agree with. Hey, your opinion about the DAO? I've said this in private, but I'll say it in public. Your opinion about the DAO trade or investment, man? Dude, I wish I would have saw that video before I put the money into the DAO. I lost a shitload on that.
Yeah,
I lost a shitload on that,
Yeah, I did a video making fun of the DAO and how all the money is gonna get basically stolen and destroyed. And that video was like 1 week before the DAO blew up.
No. I missed that video that you had about that, man. But okay, but that's let's give Tiho a chance to if he wants to share his screen and give some input about Bitcoin. But that's just my input. Is that right now we're still in a short-term bearish market, but long-term it's still bullish, man. Oh, by the way, do not short freaking Bitcoin or any of these coins. It doesn't matter which one you trade. Please do not short it. Please do not do that. Okay, especially if you're a beginner. You don't understand leverage. You don't understand margin. Okay, please. There is already enough risk in crypto. Like if you don't know what you're doing, just buy Bitcoin or whatever the top coins are, and just and put it on a Ledger wallet. And if it does not fit on a Ledger wallet, guys, do not buy it. Do not, if you're a beginner, do not invest into any coins that do not fit on a hardware wallet, okay? Because out of all the losses that we have had in our trading career in crypto and all the people that we've seen lose money, the number one cause is not from the market crash. It's the number one cause of their losses because they lose the coins, okay? So
I was seeing something similar. I've been interested to notice some of the higher like strung emotions around these markets as in compared with the traditional markets. So I was originally watching this as a drop. So I exited my trades around 10,000 for Bitcoin, at least in my trading portfolio, not my investment portfolio. And I re-entered around 7,700.
You mean, well, are you talking 2017 or are you talking 2019?
No, again, back here in August 2019. So I exited because I actually had assumed we were going to enter a bull flag, and I like pattern trading. I usually do swing trading. I'm similar to your style of trading, Tone. I enter maybe 10 trades, 20 trades a year, and if they're 20, it's like I'm usually staggering that same entry that I'm making. I'm not making like into different tokens. I'm usually hunting out patterns that I like. So I was originally seeing this as a bull flag, and now it's starting to look a little bit more like a falling wedge, which is a great pattern. I do think we're going to go lower as well. One of the things I wanted to focus in on was actually on the 4-hour chart in relation to gold and Bitcoin. Not that I'm saying that they are like one another here, but what I was interested in was the relationship to the sudden drop after President Trump's talk about not attacking back on Iran, simply importing sanctions essentially, so that there'll be no like war, and that both parties look like they're going to back down. And you instantly see a big drop in Bitcoin, and then also you see a very similar drop in gold. What I think that represents to me is that what we just saw wasn't a technical breakout. It was a news breakout, something that I mean, you could have probably traded it based off the news of the attack of Soleimani to some degree. But it also fundamentally means I think we're going to go lower. The first line of support I have is around 8,100, which we broke through, 7,400 here, and then again at 6,500. And if we come any lower than that, it was only on the weekly here at around 5,400. That I was interested in. Again, that would be near the bottom of this wedge if it were to continue to portray itself. So I did re-enter a little higher than I thought. I thought we were going to rebound right at 7,700 and it would make a nice bull flag, but that's not what happened. So that's how it goes when trading. Again, I want to just keep a clear sentiment here. The investment route is drastically different than trading. I keep them as two very different portfolios. And I try not to make too many trades. I tried day trading for a little while. It's way too stressful. I like pattern hunting, finding something that I like that has fundamentals and a lot of volume moving into it, make that trade. We did that with Raven twice. We did that with Matic recently. We saw the buildup in the fundamentals and the chatter. Took our chunk of profits, exited. Everyone always thinks I'm exiting early whenever I hear it's like it's going to the moon, and I'm like I'm already out. I got what I wanted out of that trade. So I do think we're going likely lower as well. We did invalidate the bull flag that I was kind of hoping we would see, which would bring us into I guess more volume quickly. Maybe that was me being a little hopeful, but on the weekly here, we're still in a negative trend, and we just bounced off the 21 moving average in the weekly too. So very likely we'll come down to test probably around 5,500 in my mind. But again, I'm not going to make any bets as I'm currently still sitting in a position.
So
the bigger your portfolio gets, the longer the trades have to be. Like you don't have a choice, because you're moving lots of volume in and out, and you don't want to be moving the markets as it moves in and out.
Yeah, yeah, and especially the liquidity in these markets. I mean, I've even with Raven when we were taking positions back. So Raven was a crazy explosive ride for us back in 2019. Twice we caught a good chunk of this one. Even if you don't even look at all of it, it was an easy 200% gain versus Bitcoin's price in a matter of 30 days. But we saw the accumulation and I guess mostly you could call it hype, I guess, but I liked the fundamentals of Raven. But yeah, even in a small illiquid market like Raven, you could move the price quite easily.
Just real quick to Tiho, you might want to mention Raven coin and not Raven.
Oh yeah, sorry. I guess there's Raven protocol now, right? Yeah, this is Raven coin, not Raven protocol.
Yeah, exactly.
Drastically different.
Yeah, I kept thinking you were talking about Raven protocol.
No.
And when you pull it, I'm like, oh shit, they're two different coins.
Yeah. So Raven coin is in the Medici Ventures portfolio. They were focusing on land ownership. There's a great book called by Henry DeSoto called The Mystery of Capital, which talks about how some of the fundamental beginnings of capital ownership comes from property ownership. And Raven was looking at using the Raven token to own property and because, for instance, Tone, you and I had this conversation back in Colombia about almost 2 years ago now about the necessity of property ownership. And it was actually an old wartime tactic to aim directly at property registrations, because if you could destroy the property registration of any of the countries or places that you were aiming at, you'd essentially fuck up their entire economy for that little area. So the value of having property rights in an area that you can't destroy is an old time war tactic. So I saw a lot of value in Raven coin.
Yeah, and I agree with you, except Raven coin is not going to do anything of it, and I don't think Raven coin is going to exist a year from now. So putting your
I'm actually not in a Raven trade here. I was just I was using it as an example of what I look for in terms of some type of fundamental and a fair amount of volume. So the technical aspects coming into a trade versus an investment. I never saw Raven as an investment on the long term. I was just trading off the fundamentals of what I saw the potential could be. Currently it's sitting in nowhere. I wouldn't touch it here. It's just there. I mean, you could see a bounce up to the top of the descending triangle here, but it'd be too risky of a trade for how much downside there still could be.
All right, so I'm gonna so Raven coin aside, which I don't think will ever pump again, and I think that one is trending towards zero, like all the other shit coins. My view on shit coins has never changed; it's always been the same. I'm gonna throw some percentages at you guys, and we'll close out with that. I am still at 60% belief that we will make a new swing low in this market below 6,500. I'm expecting this before the halving. What are you guys thinking? What is your probability that we fall below 6,500?
I don't know how to I don't calculate the probabilities on something like if you ask me what's the probability I have a winning trade, I'll say yeah, it's around 34%, because I know that because I have data to back that up. But as far as what's the percentage that it's going to go down to below 6,500? I have no comment on that. Like I showed the trend lines earlier. In the short-term trend, there's a strong possibility that it's going to below 6,500. But as far as a percentage goes, I haven't looked at I haven't recorded the amount of times that I've.
Well, it doesn't have to be exact, right? But when I hear you say strong percentage, I'm assuming that it is more likely than not that we will, and therefore there's a greater than 50% chance that we will fall below 6,500.
Yeah, okay. If you put it that way, if you say, hey, Tai, is there a more possibility it's going to go down or more possibility it's going to go up? Then I would say, yeah, it's more possibility it's going to go down because it hasn't reached that long-term, that daily or weekly trend going up. So it hasn't come close enough for me to be confident and be comfortable to say that, hey, that we are coming, that there's a good chance that we're going to go up from here. This, and also the core, something that I want to share with your viewers is that correlation does not equal to causation. Like a lot of times the markets move up like today, and there's a correlation that, hey, it's the missile attacks in Iran, but I also ate some roast duck today too. Did the markets go up because Tai ate some roast duck, or was it because Iran shot some missiles over to a U.S. airbase? You know what I'm saying? So I look at it. I always try to, differentiate between what's causation, what's causing it to do that, versus something that just happens to coincidentally happen at the same time. Matter of fact, I should say coincidence more so than correlation.
Oh, normally I would never think that news comes first in a price movement. This is one of the very rare times that I would speculate that. I would much more focus on fundamentals or technicals, but just the sheer attention.
Sorry guys, here's the S&P 500. When I was going to bed last night, it looked like the market was going to zero, and we just made a new all-time high.
Yeah, of course we did. Of course we did.
Now in the stock market, in the currency markets, I would say that that missile attack had an effect on it, but I personally just don't see it on the crypto markets, because right now the crypto markets are it's just, what do you call that? It's a non-correlated asset.
Non-correlated asset, yeah. And that's why if you are a believer in like an efficient market portfolio, you need an uncorrelated asset in it.
Exactly.
Normally I would agree with you, but when we start thinking about World War III memes, trust me, everybody's paying attention. Normally it would be an uncorrelated asset. I would 100% agree with you. But if you start to fire missiles at other countries, sanctions in any way you can send money back and forth, you're going to see price run-ups and an instantaneous drop the moment that Trump gave his speech saying that they would not fire back, that they would only increase sanctions. So normally I'm on 100% agreement with you. I would never follow the news as an indicator for what we saw. And I wouldn't think Bitcoin would be associated to the price. Now, the S&P 500, I don't see why it couldn't just keep going up. Nobody knows or seems to care that printing money is a huge problem. So
this is what I've been saying. I think people do see that, because what does printing money do? If you print a lot of money, that money is going into stocks. The printing of a lot of money is helping the stock market at new all-time highs, because the dollar is being devalued.
Yes. Yeah.
So here's something else too. Okay. So you got these guys, man, in the background. Your viewers need to know, man, like there are guys out there, man, with big portfolios. Okay. Big money. Okay. And these guys, they have access to the exchanges. Your viewers got to understand this. The stock and Forex exchanges are regulated. There's police coming in there, inspecting them and checking them to make sure that they play by the rules. In the crypto markets, in the crypto exchanges, there's no damn police or nobody inspecting any of these exchanges, right? All these guys that claim that, we don't have fake volume, we don't do any of this. I trade. Okay, you can say whatever that you want to say, but when I look at your order books and I look at how the time in sales, how the prints are being printed, I've traded long enough and I've made enough trades in my life to see when there's something fishy going on, okay? And what I suspect is happening is that some of these guys that have big money, they have direct access into the exchanges, okay, through their APIs, and they're able to trade and move the markets. However, they can't do it every day. They can't do it all the time. So what happens is they intentionally wait until a big news or economic event happens in the real world. And then that's when they turn on their bots and their algorithms and they do whatever they got to do to make money in the markets, right? So normally the guys that can do that, they can crash the markets at any time they want with the amount of money they have and with the connections they have with the exchange owners, okay? Don't think that the exchange owners don't know that this is happening in the background. They know it. It's just that they profit from it, so they don't give a shit. Okay. So they wait until these things happen, these events happen, and then that's when they do what I would say is fishy stuff behind the scenes, right? That they shouldn't be doing. And then everybody thinks, oh, this is happening because of what's happening over there in Iran, Iraq, or Canada, or Australia, or something, right? Because they can't just do it every day, because then the public would see it. So they got to do these things that they shouldn't be doing during events such as this in the world to mask so that people don't see it. Okay. Now, do I have evidence of this? Well, if you just go to if you go to the Kraken order books right now, if you go to the Kraken order books and just pull up Tezos, right, you'll see, like, why is this order for 20,000 or 30,000 Tezos sitting there on the buy side and the sell side? It's been sitting there since the beginning of the year. I know that because I've been trying to accumulate Tezos since the beginning of the year. And every day I look at it and it's the same damn orders. You mean to tell me somebody that's trying to buy 20,000 tokens can't figure out how to buy 20,000 tokens in a few days? You know, why is it sitting there all the time? And as soon as you put it in order, I've done this where I go in there and put an order in front of it or behind it or around it, and it nudges the price, and it automatically happens immediately. Like, there's no way a human being can do it that quick, can change their order that quick, or modify their orders that quick. Okay. So these things are happening, and if you don't see it, if you're not able to read the prints and read the time and sales and read the order books, then you just won't know that these things are happening, but they're happening in the background. So that's the reason why I don't encourage at this moment for people to do short-term trading, because there's a lot of trading shenanigans that's happening behind the scenes that you may not be aware of and cannot see. But the shenanigans can only happen like in the short term, like in a 1 hour, 2 hour, maybe 1 or 2 days. They're not gonna be able to keep pulling this for like 1 year or 2 years. And that's why I say that if you're a beginner, if you just make a longer, invest in coins or trading coins that have hardware wallet support, keep your coins off the exchange and focus on the long term of several months, several quarters, maybe even several years, right? Then you have a better chance at not being whipped out or being shaken out or being caught up in these trading shenanigans by these big traders in the background.
All right. Any other words, Tio, or we're gonna close it out? I will ask. So it looks like I do have one more. So it does look like both of you guys are leaning bearish here for a greater than not likelihood of one more swing low. What are your thoughts for year end? I know the year just started. I think that Bitcoin is going to struggle breaking $10,000 into year end. I still think there is one more low coming, and I think the way up is going to be a lot slower than 2017 and 2019. I think Bitcoin will have its bull market very, very soon, but I think it's going to be a little more orderly this time, because as the total market cap goes up, it's harder to move the price. I think Bitcoin will struggle to break $10,000. Probably will close the year around that vicinity. How are you guys for Bitcoin for the year? How do you think it may play out? And finally, if you dare to tackle it, when do you think a new all-time high is likely? I think it'll take longer. I'm thinking, end of 2021 at best, probably 2022.
So when we hit the $3,000 low, I thought our bounce up to $6,000 was going to be up to $7,000 was going to be a B wave. So I still feel that this might be a giant B wave from the come down from 20,000. Again, I don't usually try to trade with Elliott wave ideas, but it definitely looks and fits the idea. It grew really, really quickly. It grew very unhealthily, which also falls in the category of a B wave retracement. I'm leaning bearish to around the $5,500 area, although I guess at this point for the end of the year 2020, I think a healthy long-term growth would be nice to see, instead of the very rapid uptick from 3 to 13,000 that we saw. It'd be nice to get a consistent retest of the 21 weekly moving average as we grow. That would make me feel a lot more comfortable about any of the highs we do make, even if it's just a return back up to the $7,000 area. It'd be nice to see a consistent retest of the 21 weekly moving average. Where that would bring us, I think the abstraction there is a stock market crash is going to be bad for everybody and every asset. I don't know if they can like let that happen. As Tai was just talking about, there's a lot of people that have a lot of money that can keep these markets afloat. The Fed is currently printed into the trillions of dollars now on its repo balance sheet, more than it's ever printed before. And the US dollar has lost almost nothing. The DXY is still sitting at 96.967. So the dollar doesn't seem to be weakening really. So they might be able to hold this game out longer than I would have ever anticipated. Again, which would not necessarily bode well for Bitcoin, because if the S&P 500 is going to continue to reach new all-time highs, why would the traditional market investor look at anything else when they could just be sitting in what they've been sitting in for the last 30 years? With that in mind, again, I think the long-term slow growth through 2020 and beyond, my long-term outlook is around six figures into the $100,000, but at least for the short term, yeah, I'm bearish to around 5,400, thinking that this was a B wave retracement.
What's your time like if your outlook is $100,000 in the longer term future? Do you have a time estimate for that? Is that like the next halving-ish, 2024?
Maybe around 2023 to start to get in that area. I mean, that's a really hard, I normally would never want to say anything like that. I'm not making any bets on anything like that. I've had a long-term belief in Bitcoin for a while now. Maybe that's just a sky-high dream. But at least in terms of shorter 2020, I don't think we're going to, I was hopeful when I thought I was like, oh, nice. This looks like a perfect bull flag, but we did invalidate that. So I've turned bearish, at least for the time being, unless we see a breakout above the past like highs of around 9,000. I'm going to remain bearish.
All right, Tai, your thoughts, and then we'll close it out.
Short term, there's going to be some short term. There's going to be some bearish moves. There might even be some bullish moves. But to me, that's not where the big money is made. The big money is made in crypto because of the long term. It's definitely bullish. When is it going to pop? I don't know. But I do know this. I do know that, if in the next 3 to 5 years, right, if you're in crypto, I believe that anyone who is involved in crypto and doesn't lose their tokens and do something crazy and get hacked or something, they're going to get a 5, 10, 20, 30x out of the markets. Okay. And that is life-changing, man. If you have $10,000 and the market grows 10x, and you turn that 10,000 into 100,000, or if you have 100,000 now and that becomes $1 million, man, that is life-changing, man. Sometimes, we see these big moves in the markets and we forget that that is a life-changing amount of money for a lot of people in the world. And so instead of focusing on the short term, whether it goes to 10,000 or down to 6,000, what I would highly recommend people do is stop jacking around. Stop jacking around. It's New Year's. Stop going to the football games. Stop going to the college games. Take that money, invest it into yourself, get educated, invest into crypto, build up your portfolio, and just sit tight, buckle up and sit tight, and don't let all the negative people, dissuade you from getting out of it. And when the market gives you a 10x, 20x, 30x, 40x move, you should already know what you want financially. Like if you want that house, you want that car, you want that college degree, you need to go pick up your wife from that next village because you owe the in-laws 5 pigs, and you got to buy those 5 pigs and give them to them so that as a dowry, and then you can pick up your wife or whatever. Have those things written down, even if it's on a list, even if it's on a board behind you or something like that, so you can see it every day. And the minute the market gives you the opportunity to take profits and fulfill that dream, that financial goal that you have, that's what's important. Because a lot of times I see people, that especially the beginners, you're experienced like yourself and you've been on Wall Street, Tone, you know, then you're more than capable of making your own decisions. But I'm talking about the people that are new to crypto. Like, hey, is this real or is this fake or is this gonna change my life? For those people, right, I highly recommend, you know, after they get educated about crypto, you know, whether it's from Tiho, whether it's from you, Tone, or whether it's from me, just from anyone, just get educated about it, right? Use a hardware wallet. Stop jacking around. Stop being wasteful. You got 2 cars, sell 1 car. You got 2 couches in your house, sell the extra couch. You got 2 motorcycles, sell an extra one. Walk to work, take the bus, you know, and put your money. If you believe in Bitcoin, get Bitcoin. If you believe in other coins, get other coins and hold on to it and wait until the market gives you that opportunity to fulfill your financial goals and then take that profit, you know? And, you know, one thing that really helped me too, you know, is that like that event that you have, the Unconfiscatable event.
Yep.
You know, in a year, I highly recommend going to 1 or 2 events similar to that because, you know, we made a killing. I know you don't like, you know, the Ethereum ICO, but we actually went there. And the reason why our team, you know, we were the first channel that I know of to talk about investing into the Ethereum ICO back in 2014 when everybody thought Bitcoin was still a scam. You know, everybody thought we were crazy back then. But I remember me and my business partner and trading buddy, leonfu.com, we went to the Texas Bitcoin conference and I met Vitalik there. And dude, the dude was smart, man. I mean, he was smart at software engineering and all that cryptography and all that stuff. And we didn't just invest into Ethereum. We were putting the money and making a bet on that young kid that's 19 years old that's got people running in circles around him. And my business partner, my trading buddy, leonfu.com, is a high-level senior, you know, developer and engineer at Dell Computers. And he was impressed. And he's like, dude, man, this guy's got talent. We need to invest into his talent. That's what, whatever he does, we need to invest into him. And that's what I would say is that when you invest into a coin or any project, right? Don't just look at the coin, but look at the people behind the coin. Are those people talented? Are those people somebody that you would place a bet on? Okay, that's what I would say. And then when the market, if you place a bet on it and the market gives you an opportunity, like you see a lot of people crying, you know, you know, they're saying I made bad trades on, you know, certain coins or whatever. And I'm like, it doesn't matter to me if I made a bad trade on it. Like, for example, Bitcoin private was a bad trade for me, but it's okay because I made a small bet on it. I lost money on it. Well, it doesn't matter because the money I made on all the big trades more than covers for that, you know? And that's how trading works. You're not going to win on every trade. The number of times that you lose on a trade is significantly higher than the number of times that you actually make money on the trade, you know? And so that's what I would tell people, you know, is that if you focus too much on the short term, you might miss out on that 10, 20x move in the next 3 to 5 years that can really, really potentially change your life and help you retire early or fulfill that financial goal that you have in your life. So.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw my 2 cents in here. Look, everyone needs to do their own research and make their own opinions.
Yeah.
Tai met Vitalik and he saw that as investing in a project that he thought would succeed and the people he thought were smart. I also met Vitalik and I also looked at Ethereum and I, from that day to this day, see Ethereum as an outright joke. I chose not to invest in it. I don't blame someone else for not having me invest in Ethereum. It was my own decision, and I am living with that decision of not making money. And I continue to explain why I never liked Ethereum and don't like Ethereum, right? The problem we have is people are, you know, blaming other people for their own decisions. Unless someone else clicked the buy or the sell button for you, or unless you handed them your money and they lost it for you. But remember, if you're handing them the money and they lost it for you, but they were you know, qualified and regulated to handle your money, that is on you. They did not break any laws. Now, if you hand them the money and they did not have the legal ability to trade that money for you, the fault is kind of with both of you, but the regulation is there, right? yes, if you handed someone the money that they were not qualified to manage for you and they lost it, you could go after them legally, even though in reality, that is also your fault.
Yeah. I mean, likewise, like I said about the Dow trade, you know, you did not like it. I liked it. I lost money on it.
Right. And Ethereum is the other way. I did not like it. You liked it and you made money on it. And I am okay with that. Now, as far as what do I think is a reasonable investment, the only thing I invest in is Bitcoin. That's it. That's the only thing I invest in. If it comes to trading, what would I trade? Well, I don't like trading on unregulated exchanges. And the regulated exchanges aren't that liquid. So I'm kind of stuck in the middle of nowhere. So even if I did go back to trading, which I'm thinking of doing, there is a 90% probability that 90% of the assets I will be trading will be in traditional markets, because that's what I'm comfortable with. That's the trading. As far as investing, I only hold Bitcoin and I only want to hold Bitcoin. And none of this is legal or financial advice. That's my view. That's how I'm doing it. Tai is doing it differently, and Tiho is doing it differently.
Yeah, like I'll share with you. Tiho mentioned earlier about Ant shares. It was originally Neo.
No, it's Ant shares first, and then turned into Neo.
Yeah, Ant shares, which I thought I couldn't believe I put money into that. I kept saying, oh my God, I kept telling my buddy Leon, I said, man, I can't believe that I put money into a coin. And check this out, Tone. I didn't even understand the language they were even speaking. I couldn't even read.
Did you profit on that trade, or you lost?
Dude, not only did I profit from it, it's the biggest winning trade I've ever made in my life. It's the biggest winning trade I've ever made in my life. And I was so frustrated that I made this trade. And I kept telling Leon, I kept calling it up day after day. And I kept saying, I can't believe that we made a trade on a coin in which I can't even read the literature that they're putting out. I can't even read the information they're putting out because it's in Chinese.
You couldn't even read the white paper.
No, I didn't even bother. Hey, but here's the thing. Back then, there was only a few ICOs. There was only a few new coins coming out. Yeah. Pretty much like the first dozen ICOs that came out, we traded them all. So the thing was, but that one, I'm just sharing this to show that even ones that I at the time thought that was the absolute worst trade that I have ever made in my life. I kept telling myself, one day, I'm going to be able to share this story that I made a trade on something that I couldn't even read what it was about.
And you had the opposite view on the Dow. You thought Dow was going to be your best trade.
Oh yeah, no, agreed. I said, man, Dow, superstar team. I thought, man, I'm going to the moon I'm going to Mars, to Neptune, to Pluto, everything. I'm already outside the Milky Way galaxy. What's the next closest galaxy that we have next to the Milky Way galaxy? I forget.
Andromeda.
Andromeda, yeah. I was already in the outskirts on the border of Andromeda, with their customs officials already trying to enter the Andromeda airspace. You know what I'm saying? And man, that was absolutely one of the worst trades I made. Absolutely,
All right, guys. I will also say I don't think the 2017 environment's coming back, but look, you never know with markets, and that's the thing. Like you have to be humble to the market, because the market will do what it wants to do without caring for your personal opinion. All right, guys, we do have to wrap this up. You'll probably be running into these guys potentially at one of the events. Again, hey, thanks so much for coming on. My audience is very, very critical, which makes sense. I like it that way. This show is critical of scams. Hopefully, I won't get banned for their, content cop policies, which this will probably be coined the term. Hey guys, all right, it's like a 4-hour show now. I gotta jump on another call. I know time flies. It's probably middle of the night for some of you. I did not expect it to go this long. Thank you so much for watching. Please check out Unconfiscatable. The links to everything we did are in the video descriptions. Tai, Tio, I've known you guys for a couple of years now. Thanks for coming on the channel and sharing your thoughts about the YouTube banning situation.
Yeah, and hey, by the way, thanks for staying a real Bitcoin maximalist. You know, you and Bitcoin Meister said these freaking fake ass Bitcoin maximalists like Kevin Pham and these other dumbasses. You know, well, it's the end of the show, so I don't want to go into it. But I appreciate, you know, and people on my channel always asking, well, why do you support Tone? Because he's a Bitcoin maximalist. And I'm like, dude, he's talking about the same stuff they've been talking about since 2015. You know,
and I get the same thing about you, Tai. Tone, why do you support Tai? Tai is a shitcoin scammer, and I'm like, because I understand the difference between a trade and, you know, a blind promotion of something you're invested in. And I know how much money Tai pays to lawyers, and I know how careful he is about stating things the proper way. So it kind of goes both ways. Like, yeah. I understand where you're coming from and how your business works. And before crypto, this was the penny stock trading space. People used to come up to me and try to get me to be involved in their penny stock newsletters, you know, pumping these companies that are worth, you know, a quarter of a penny. And they're like, money is so easy. We can pump this thing from a quarter of a penny to 2 cents. You know, these companies, I mean, this company right here, it's going to be bigger than Google. It's going to take out Google. I'm like, really? What's the stock worth? It's a quarter of a penny right now, but you have no idea. It's going to take out Google. I mean, this is the kind of shit I remember. And if you want to trade penny stocks, go trade penny stocks. I didn't like it. I stuck to the, you know, NASDAQ 100.
Yeah. All right, man. Thanks for having me on here, and Tone and Tiho, you know, and I'll catch you guys in the next video, and see you guys at the next event whenever I see you. And when you guys come to Vietnam or to Ho Chi Minh City or Bangkok, let me know.
All right,
sounds like a good plan. Tone,
Ready
thank you.
goodbye?
It's been a pleasure. We'll see you again soon. Tai, great to chat with you, brother. Always appreciate the stories. We'll see you guys again soon.
All right.
All right. Live stream is done.